Hey, for part 2 of the documentary, let's go ahead and get this video to 5,000 likes. Come on, man. At least y'all can do for y'all boys snore, man.
And gang activity. The purpose of this video is to provide an educational account of historical events in the mainstream music industry. No disrespect is intended. This video does not intend to glorify or glamorize the gang lifestyle. Every effort has been made to remove anything from this video that goes against YouTube's community guidelines, including swearing and violence. But if you'd like to see a fully uncut version of this video with everything I can't show you on YouTube, then head on over to patreon.com/traplawross, where you can watch all of my biggest documentaries uncut.
I second the Patreon. I am I'm a proud subscriber to his Patreon. Make sure you go get that. It's only like $5, so you know. Yeah. No, it's 10. It's 10. Type shit. But you go good. Check out that Patreon though.
For just $2. But if you're not into that, just hit the subscribe button and enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you. Over the last 5 years, there's been few rappers that have generated as much excitement and controversy as YoungBoy. His music is personal, thought-provoking, and violent in equal measure. He's one of the few artists who can top the Billboard charts with music all about killing, death, and destruction. But his ability to communicate the stark realities of life growing up in the dangerous slums of Baton Rouge have inspired people all over America and the world at large. YoungBoy's experiences in the gang-infested slums of Louisiana, where it's kill or be killed, inspired a generation of downtrodden youngsters to struggle through the pain too. Because despite losing family members and being the target of numerous assassination attempts, YoungBoy has always managed to come out on top. Not just surviving, but beating the odds and...
I ain't gonna lie, like all them little instances and shit, the Miami, the in and out of, you know, all them little events, let's just call them that make you not give a fuck about nothing else. You know what I'm saying? But motherfucker don't take that into account. And that's crazy.
Coming back bigger every single time. It's rare to find an artist who attracts this much love and hate all at the same time. And YoungBoy's thugged out survival anthems for the streets have made him one of the most beloved artists in history. But his influence has a dark side too. Because some might say that his aggressive murder anthems are inspiring a generation of lost teenagers to slide and resort to violence just like he had to. But can YoungBoy really be blamed? When basketball player Ja Morant ended up in hot water for flashing a gun in a strip club to YoungBoy's music, many people suggested that this was YoungBoy's fault. And considering just how many lives seem to have been lost as a direct result...
Come on, y'all gotta think, bro. Ja Morant is a grown man with millions. Why the hell we blaming somebody else for his actions? He didn't even blame him for his actions. Why y'all even doing that? Like, what?
Result of YoungBoy's career, whether it's the murder of rival Baton Rouge rapper G Money, to the slaying of YoungBoy's beloved manager Big Dump, or even the killing of Chicago rap legend King Von, seemingly a self-defense shooting, the result of Von trying to fight one of YoungBoy's friends. To say YoungBoy and his NBA crew are dangerous would be an understatement. But is the group of people that YoungBoy surrounds himself a gang of loose cannons shooting first and asking questions later, or are they just really a family of youngsters with a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that they would put their lives on the line to protect? Over the course of his career, so many people have died that YoungBoy even refers to himself as the Murder Man, and claiming in numerous songs to have been the direct cause of as many as 7 murders in his hometown. Over the years, many people have questioned the authenticity of YoungBoy's gangster image.
You got cap in your raps. YoungBoy talking about on this song, bro.
In spite of all of the violence surrounding his career, in 2022, YoungBoy had a change of heart, perhaps coming the result of reflecting on all of the destruction and pain that had been caused by his music career, or as a result of years of legal battles that have seen YoungBoy endlessly confined to a cell or on house arrest. Because recently, he's been calling to stop the violence, pledging in interviews to stop promoting murder and violence in his songs and even taking steps to de-escalate the conflict with his most hated rivals in Baton Rouge, with YoungBoy's crew even sharing the stage with their mortal enemy Fredo Bang for a special charity concert aiming to stop the violence. But that said, even these intentions have been called into question, when after pledging to stop the violence, YoungBoy continues to drop violent murder anthems back to back. So, the $50 million question remains unanswered. Is YoungBoy really a gravedigger, the self-proclaimed murder man of Baton Rouge, really serious about stopping the violence? Or is this all just a ploy to try and avoid the responsibility for convincing a generation of teenagers to pick up a gun and get active in the streets? Well, today we're going to take a closer look at the murders, the music, and the man, and decide once and for all, is YoungBoy really as dangerous as they say he is?
It's either you're gonna die, you're either gonna be a bum, or you're gonna be successful, or you're gonna go to jail. And the reason I ain't that way, because the scary part, I don't know which one I'm gonna be. But I ain't dumb though, you hear me? And the people who play that role, to y'all, them know I ain't dumb. The people who really know me, they know I ain't dumb, you hear me? How the f I came this far? You think I came this far by being dumb? Come on, man.
Today's story takes place in the state of Louisiana.
Think I came this far by being
is in the
dumb?
United States Deep South, a historic region of the US with a dark history. The Deep South has had deep ties to the historic slave trade, with these particular states like Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia historically being heavily dependent on the plantation system, which saw black people kidnapped from their native lands in Africa and put to work against their will in cotton fields for the benefit of white Americans. Even after the Confederate States lost the Civil War and slavery was abolished, racism continued to cast a shadow over Louisiana for many years. Attempts were made to restrict free black people from voting, and racist organizations like the White League were formed in Louisiana to terrorize, intimidate, and target the black community there. Eventually, after World War II, in the face of the civil rights movement, black people in Louisiana finally begun to exercise their right to vote. And in 1960, this saw the establishment of groups like the Louisiana State Sovereignty Commission with an aim to battle racial segregation in the state, particularly in schools. During these years of segregation, it's believed that many African Americans fled Louisiana to states like California, seeking better treatment and opportunities. However, analysis by William Frey suggested that in decades that followed, due to better civil rights in Louisiana, many black migrants were actually attracted back to the state. But despite these improvements, however, Louisiana still remained a difficult place to grow up black through the 90s and the noughties. The state's incarceration rates have been at the very top in the world for decades now, and although black people are a minority in the state of Louisiana, the majority of the population in correctional facilities have been black. Louisiana has the second highest poverty rate in America, and here too, black people seem to suffer the worst. Moreover, the devastating events of Hurricane Katrina and subsequent flooding left tens of thousands of Louisiana residents stranded, with those affected being disproportionately African American. And the poor efforts to rescue these black people in danger had many people questioning if the state really even cared about their black citizens.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Now look, you might be wondering, what the hell does all of this have to do with YoungBoy? Well, in my opinion, it's important to understand the history of where he comes from, to understand the environment that created the man, as well as the inherent challenges of growing up as a young black man in Louisiana. But that said, there's also plenty of positive influences stemming from YoungBoy's Louisiana upbringing. Despite the state's difficult history when it comes to slavery and civil rights, over the years, the state's multiculturalism would become an asset, spawning creative and artistic communities. Louisiana has a long and rich history when it comes to music. In the early 1800s, the influx of enslaved Africans brought with them a diverse array of musical traditions and talents. Musical traditions which merged with the existing French, Spanish, and Native American influences in Louisiana. The fusion of these diverse cultural elements led to the birth of unique musical styles such as Creole music and jazz. And then, during the Civil War, music would play a significant role in both the North and the South. In Louisiana, Confederate songs and abolitionist tunes were composed, reflecting the region's divided sentiments on the issue. Some people wanted slavery to end, and their ops wanted it to continue. And you could probably argue that these might represent some of the earliest examples of diss songs. with soldiers on both sides of the Civil War actually playing music that would hype up their troops and boost morale to prepare them for battle. After the Civil War, as time would go on, Louisiana creatives would continue to experiment with music. Blues music is believed to have originated in the Deep South in the late 1800s and early 1900s. The African American communities in New Orleans are credited with pioneering jazz music in the early 1910s, and in the 1950s, more new musical genres emerged, like swamp pop, where young Cajuns and Creoles would combine traditional French Louisiana music with New Orleans-style rhythm and blues and country.
Now, I know we 10 minutes in a 6-hour, but I don't know where the fuck is he going with this shit.
And Western music, as well as the more low-tempo swamp blues originating in the black communities of Southwest Louisiana. Into the 50s and 60s, the civil rights movement would further impact Louisiana's music scene, as African-American musicians leveraged their talents to amplify the call for racial equality, often using their platforms to shed light on the struggles that they had faced. R&B and soul music, with their origins in gospel and blues, would become vehicles for expressing the aspirations of the African-American community. And then, of course, as hip-hop emerged in the 80s and boomed through the 90s, a whole wave of aspirational southern rappers would emerge from Louisiana's biggest cities. In New Orleans, modern rap was pioneered by Master P and his No Limit clique, later being taken to brave new heights in hip-hop's bling era by the likes of Cash Money Records, headed by Birdman and his prodigy Lil Wayne, who would arguably go on to become one of the greatest rappers of all time and my personal favourite. And while the flashy antics of bling rappers might come across to some as tasteless, others would be inspired by these emerging black role models who were showing the world through artistry that a persecuted black man in the Deep South could become a multi-millionaire and build generational wealth off the back of sharing their lived experience through music. Now, things still aren't perfect, but the success of rap music in the Deep South represents a triumph over repression to me. And I'm telling you all of this because all of this history is very important context. Because the social circumstances that persisted in Louisiana over hundreds of years all led up to a single moment in time, where the perfect circumstances existed to create one of the modern day's most exciting and controversial music artists. People in Louisiana have been using their music to express their pain and tell their perspective on life for hundreds of years. And in the modern day Louisiana, one voice stands out above all others. The voice of a young boy who experienced one of the harshest upbringings modern day Louisiana had to offer. And that young boy was able to put all of his pain, trauma, and triumphs into his music. Modern day music that is still unmistakably Southern. So, now you know the city, let's take a closer look at that young boy, YoungBoy. YoungBoy was born Kentrell Deshaun Gordon in 1999. And over the years, he's been known by many names. NBA YoungBoy, YoungBoy Never Broke Again, Top, YB, AI YoungBoy, and the list goes on. Now, YoungBoy by no means had it easy as a kid. He grew up...
You know, that nigga had to make the whole little Top song for me to realize he was Top. I may heard it a few times before. I did not make the connection, though.
On the north side of Baton Rouge, more specifically North 38th Street and Chippewa Street. This led to another nickname that appears frequently in YoungBoy's songs and albums, 38 Baby. In fact, YoungBoy's legendary lyrics about 38th and Chippewa, where he grew up, has even attracted superfans who would film themselves driving down the very streets that YoungBoy would play on as a child. But life on 38th Street was not kind to a young YoungBoy. His father, Jeffrey Staden, wasn't in his life growing up, as he had apparently been sentenced to 55 years in jail when YoungBoy was just 8 years old. This monster sentence was punishment for the armed robbery of a Baton Rouge convenience store on December 1st, 2009. YoungBoy's father, along with 3 other men, one of whom was his brother Dallas, had apparently robbed Albi's convenience store on North Sherwood Forest. The robbery got ugly, and YoungBoy's father shot a store clerk in the leg during this altercation. This would earn him charges of armed robbery and attempted first-degree murder. He would plead not guilty, and after a jury trial, the state would find him guilty as charged on 2 counts, getting himself 10 years for the robbery and 50 years for the attempted murder. Many years later, YoungBoy would even reference his father's incarceration, rapping on the song Cross Me that it was actually his uncle, his father's brother, that was there for the robbery, who snitched and got him 55 years in jail. As well as referencing his father's plight on the song Where the Love At, where he raps that he prays he doesn't become an alcoholic like his father, as well as paying respects and suggesting that his father needs a second chance at life because robbing people for their money was how he was trying to provide for his family. It seemed like both sides of YoungBoy's family had a history of robbery, as his uncle on his mother's side was also an alleged known robber in Baton Rouge. However, unfortunately, he would suffer a worse fate than YoungBoy's father. Andy Golden, the uncle who YoungBoy referenced a couple of times in his music, was apparently shot in the head during a robbery attempt.
Golden
YoungBoy
was my uncle. Robin was in my jeans. That nigga was 16, said that? God damn! That nigga was 16 when he came up with that shit? Bruh, this is me really finding out for the ones who think I'm just bullshit. No. Like, this is just me figuring shit out and making the connection in my head. Bro, what the fuck?
prays he doesn't become an alcoholic like his father, as well as paying respects and suggesting that his father needs a second chance at life because robbing people for their money was how he was trying to provide for his family. It seemed like both sides of YoungBoy's family had a history of robbery, as his uncle on his mother's side was also an alleged known robber in Baton Rouge. However, unfortunately, he would suffer a worse fate than YoungBoy's father. Andy Golden, the uncle who YoungBoy referenced a couple of times in his music, was apparently shot in the head during a robbery attempt. YoungBoy mentions on the track Acquittal how he heard stories about how his uncle was shot in the head, implying that their relationship was most likely non-existent if YoungBoy had to rely on stories to hear all about his life. As well as in the track R.I.P. Lil Dave, when YoungBoy speaks of his uncle who got shot in the head and died while hitting a lick. Further references to this are heard on the track 38 Baby, when YoungBoy outright declares that Andy Golden was his uncle, which means that robbery is in his genes. I mean, just take a second to think about the situation that YoungBoy
see niggas don't even peep robbing gene.
Was dealing with here as a child. His father is serving 55 years for robbery, with one uncle who snitched on him, and his other uncle was also a prolific robber who got shot in the head and killed during a robbery. All this would leave him as a lost child with no father figure who even saw robbery as part of his DNA. That's a heavy situation for an 8-year-old kid to be dealing with. And with no father figure in his life, YoungBoy would have to rely on the females in his family to look after him and make him a man. Despite his mother Sharonda Golden being alive, she apparently wasn't there for YoungBoy as a child at all times. So, he would initially be raised by his loving grandmother Alice Golden, but unfortunately, YoungBoy's grandmother would pass away too, leaving him devastated for years to come. YoungBoy would open up about the loss of his grandmother in a Billboard interview in 2023, calling her his protector. After losing his grandmother, with his father in jail and his mother out of the picture, YoungBoy wound up in a group home, and it would be here that he would be subject to physical abuse and bullying. He would later explain in a Billboard interview that it was this experience of being targeted in the group home that led him to cultivate his own dark and violent side for protection. Clearly, YoungBoy had to fight for survival as a child. In fact, he actually broke his neck whilst he was wrestling as a toddler. This was a serious injury which required him to wear a full neck and head brace whilst his spine healed. This was a corrective procedure which left him with the 3 iconic head scars that he has on his head to this day, an everyday reminder on his face of just one painful incident that he endured as a child, and something his enemies are still quick to use against him, with the hurtful moniker Denthead often being levied against him. YoungBoy had gone through so many traumatic experiences as a child, it's unsurprising that he would grow up dealing with a lot of pain. But even outside of the tragedies in his own family, YoungBoy would also suffer losses outside the home. When he was just age 10, he would end up losing one of his closest childhood friends to gun violence. As a child, YoungBoy was friends with another boy who was around 6 years older than him, a boy by the name of David Cobb, aka Lil Dave. On March the 27th, 2010, a memorial picnic was being held at a park on Woodpecker Street in Scotlandville in Baton Rouge. This event was intended to honor the memory of local teens.
I seen that basketball court before, bro.
Wear a full neck and head brace whilst his spine healed. This was a corrective procedure which left him with the 3 iconic head scars that he has on his head to this day, an everyday reminder on his face of just one painful incident that he endured as a child, and something his enemies are still quick to use against him, with the hurtful moniker Denthead often being levied against him. YoungBoy had gone through so many traumatic experiences as a child, it's unsurprising that he would grow up dealing with a lot of pain. But even outside of the tragedies in his own family, YoungBoy would also suffer losses outside the home. When he was just age 10, he would end up losing one of his closest childhood friends to gun violence. As a child, YoungBoy was friends with another boy who was around 6 years older than him, a boy by the name of David Cobb, aka Lil Dave. On March the 27th, 2010, a memorial picnic was being held at a park on Woodpecker Street in Scotlandville in Baton Rouge. This event was intended to honor the memory of local teens who had lost their lives to gun violence. But unfortunately, the very thing that this event was intending to shed a light on would end up happening that same day, because at some point, a fight broke out and bullets started flying. One of those bullets hit 16-year-old David Cobb in the spine, and despite there being hundreds of witnesses, this case would ultimately go on unsolved, partly due to a fear in the community of retaliation against those who would be seen as a snitch for speaking to law enforcement. As a result, the family of Lil Dave would be left grieving without closure, heartbroken that their child lost his life at an event that was intended to honour teens losing their lives to gun violence. And it wasn't just Dave's family who were devastated by this loss. YoungBoy himself would be distraught and traumatised by losing a friend to gun violence so young. He would go on to rap about the loss of Lil Dave and the effect that it had on him years later. YoungBoy would rap on the song For Keeps with Rich the Kid that Dave was killed by a chopper or machine gun and that he wishes he could call him. Also, on the aptly named song Homicide, YoungBoy expresses his desire to get revenge and kill the person who took Dave's life, as well as saying that he knows Lil Dave is still with him on the song Pt.1. On the song Cage Feeling, YoungBoy speaks about the death of Lil Dave, saying that this loss turned his heart cold and made him become a killer. The fact that YoungBoy was no stranger to loss of friends and family at such a young age just goes to show you the kind of environment he was growing up in, and the factors that coerced him into the kind of lifestyle he would go on to live. But YoungBoy was already being influenced by the streets. He would actually later rap in the song Life that Lil Dave was the person who taught him how to smoke, shoot dice, and get money for sneakers. He also said that he felt life began getting crazy for him when Lil Dave was killed. In the song Better Man, YoungBoy would claim to be tormented by the image of Lil Dave's murder in his mind, and on the track How I'm Living, he would vow to make the people responsible bleed for of his DNA. That's a heavy situation for an 8-year-old kid to be dealing with. And with no father figure in his life, YoungBoy would have to rely on the females in his family to look after him and make him a man. Despite his mother Sharonda Gore initially be raised by his devastated for years, calling her his prisoner with his face erection, wrestling as a spine healed. This was a corrective procedure which left his face of just one painful incident that he endured as a child. Levied again, he would grow up out. A boy by the name of David Cobb held at a park on Woodpecker Street in Scotlandville in Baton Rouge. This event was
My mic was muted the whole time. That's crazy. But look though, what I was trying to figure out. YoungBoy was 10, and we already heard a lot of the shit that what happened or how it changed them and shit like that.
It was intended to honor the memory of local teens who had lost their lives to gun violence. But unfortunately, the very thing that this event was intending to shed a light on would end up happening that same day, because at some point a fight broke out and bullets started flying. One of those bullets hit 16-year-old David Cobb in the spine, and despite there being hundreds of witnesses, this case would ultimately go on unsolved, partly due to a fear in the community of retaliation against those who would be seen as a snitch for speaking to law enforcement. As a result, the family of Lil Dave would be left grieving without closure, heartbroken that their child lost his life at an event that was intended to honour teens losing their lives to gun violence. And it wasn't just Dave's family who were devastated by this loss. YoungBoy himself would be distraught and traumatised by losing a friend to gun violence so young. He would go on to rap about the loss of Lil Dave and the effect that it had on him years later. YoungBoy would rap on the song For Keeps with Rich the Kid that Dave was killed by a chopper or machine gun and that he wishes he could call him. Also, on the aptly named song Homicide, YoungBoy expresses his desire to get revenge and kill the person who took Dave's life, as well as saying that he knows Lil Dave is still with him on the song Pt.1. On the song Cage Feeling, YoungBoy speaks about the death of Lil Dave, saying that this loss turned his heart cold and made him become a killer. The fact that YoungBoy was no stranger to loss of friends and family at such a young age just goes to show you the kind of environment he was growing up in, and the factors that coerced him into the kind of lifestyle he would go on to live. But YoungBoy was already being influenced by the streets. He would actually later rap in the song Life that Lil Dave was the person who taught him how to smoke, shoot dice, and get money for sneakers. He also said that he felt life began getting crazy for him when Lil Dave was killed. In the song Better Man, YoungBoy would claim to be tormented by the image of Lil Dave's murder in his mind, and on the track How I'm Living, he would vow to make the people responsible bleed for what they did to Dave. Later on the unreleased track Hold 13, that appeared only in a trailer for his hit album Top, YoungBoy would rap a lyric which some believe is him actually confessing that when he made his first $20,000, he spent it on a hitman to get revenge on Lil Dave's killer. With this traumatic and personal loss, combined with his family's reputation when it came to robberies, it's no
Nigga, man, what, at 12 years old? See, that's type of shit I only hear stories on, bruh. The young kid selling dope or whatever the case may be, and shit, boy, he getting to it. But I only hear stories of that shit, like, and I know it ain't some shit you supposed to see, but you live around in areas, bro, you see what the fuck going on, bro. Motherfuckers is not stupid. Stupid at all. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah.
Surprised then that as a young teenager, YoungBoy dropped out of school in the 9th grade and got heavily involved in the streets, becoming a teenage robber just like his father and uncle. YoungBoy would later tell DJ Smalls Eyes in an interview that after his grandmother died, he started robbing himself and ultimately wound up in jail for a robbery at just age 14.
I grew up stealing, taking from people. And like, well, at first, my grandma used to take care of me. And when my grandma died, started catching my attention at a younger age. See, I got booked for robbery at my age 14.
Ultimately, YoungBoy found himself in a youth detention center for this robbery. But perhaps this would be a blessing in disguise, as while he was incarcerated, he would claim to have found his purpose in life, beginning to write music and using that as a way to express himself and cope with the pains of life, vowing to become an artist rather than a criminal.
I ain't gonna say it was the best thing that happened to me. It helped me know my purpose. It helped me know what I want to do. Within them 6 months, I wrote at least like 25 songs with no beats. It was basically what I was going through, how I was feeling. It helped me learn how to express myself.
YoungBoy's family were actually always interested in music. YoungBoy claimed to have written his own obscene rap lyrics in the 4th grade, and he had apparently been taken to the studio by his mother, who herself was also an aspiring rapper. And his father had even written to him from jail, telling him that he had been writing music during his 55-year sentence, and encouraging YoungBoy to focus on music too. So, upon his release from jail for robbery, YoungBoy would return to 38th Street with little more than just a dream of becoming a rapper.
See, this shit in this nigga DNA for real. See, motherfucker don't tell you that side of the story, but Trap Lil Ross.
Along with a lifetime of trauma. And before he could get anywhere with his rap career, he would at least need a stable environment to live in. Luckily, he ended up finding a new place in the neighborhood to call home, with YoungBoy rapping on the song Life that he met his friend 3-3 riding his bike down Chippewa, and that 3-3's mother accepted him into their home like family. According to 3-3, him and YoungBoy are essentially brothers, as the two grew up with the same mother, Monique. But Monique is really 3-3's biological mother, as we know that YoungBoy is the biological son of Sharonda Golden. But due to the fact that 3-3's mother Monique helped raise YoungBoy, he often refers to her as his mother as well, which would make 3-3 his adopted brother, and the two do seem to have a relationship that is stronger than most real brothers. And because of this, the two basically just say they're real brothers.
You said you knew him since you were 4?
Since when?
Because you guys are brothers, and you were born around each other, so it's like you don't have any memories of not knowing them.
No, it's like you know how both our dad is split up, you know what I'm saying? So we got the same moms. It's
okay.
Like, man, really, I started making music with my brother. Just really inspired me to go in the booth because it really wasn't about me. It was really about YoungBoy, and I was pushing him. And one day he just told me, man, look, come do this with me. And he pushed me to go in the booth, and I just took a liking into it, and that's where it really started from. So shout out YB.
Meanwhile, YoungBoy's relationship with his own biological mother Sharonda was up and down during his childhood. Years down the line, he would open up about this on the song Lonely Child from his October 2019 project AI Young.
I'm Monique, my mama, but Lord knows I need Sharonda. Bro, I'll be lost in the sauce, bro. Don't judge me on me being lost either, bro. It's just my bad. Excuse me for the belch.
Boy too, when he says that even though he called 3-3's mother Monique his adopted mother, he still needs Sharonda in his life. Perhaps due to The lack of a real father figure growing up meant that he had to rely on both of his mothers for emotional and mental support. But anyway, after getting out of juvenile and finding a new safe space to call home, YoungBoy's new spiritual brother 3-3 would be supportive of his aspirations as a rapper, and together this brotherly duo would get back to finessing on the streets to pay for studio time, eventually with YoungBoy getting enough recording time in to produce a full-length musical project. And by April 10th, 2015, YoungBoy had released his first ever mixtape, Life Before Fame. This tape featured tracks like Homicide.
That bitch got a TBG logo at the bottom. Just wanted to let y'all boys. I don't know if y'all can see it, but I can see it. Matter of fact, that shit crazy as fuck. That's crazy as fuck. And that just let you know that city a real small city then. You know how niggas be saying that shit, but it's like 500,000 motherfuckers live there. It's just small to you because you don't go nowhere. Nah, that bitch a legit small city, huh?
And Range Rover, which showed a 15-year-old YoungBoy truly had the skills to pay the bills early on. The album begins with an intro where YoungBoy mentions an affiliate of his named D-Dog catching a body. This sets the mood for the rest of the album, letting fans know straight away that YoungBoy had ties with the streets, despite the fact that he was technically still a child at this point. And in the same song, he gives us an insight into his torturous relationships and the reason behind why he finds it so hard to remain faithful to his partners, even at age 15. In the song I Know, YoungBoy begins to paint a menacing picture of his position in the local gang hierarchy, mentioning on 2 occasions how he can rely on another known NBA affiliate by the name of Lil Pap to go get him. A brash statement which shows that even at age 15, YoungBoy was really in the streets, with people around him that he could send to do dirty work. YoungBoy would also share his experience with Get Back and Vengeance in this project. On the track Deal With It, he talks about how revenge was exacted on the person who killed his uncle, saying that they spotted the person who killed his uncle and that YoungBoy witnessed somebody put that person in a casket, and going on to say that the deceased man's brother is now after him. This is an important lyric, as it shows that even back when he was just 15 years old, people were dying around YoungBoy, being killed, and he was becoming a target himself, despite not being directly responsible for the violence that had played out. Elsewhere on this song, YoungBoy pledges his allegiance to a group called TBG, or Top Boy Gorilla. This is the first crew or record label that YoungBoy aligned himself with when he became a rapper, though unfortunately, as is often the case in the streets, over time, as YoungBoy's star rose, tension would brew between the members of TBG, arguing over who the next big rapper from the group would be, and eventually, what begun as a partnership would devolve into a deadly beef, with members of TBG picking their sides, and the feud escalating into an all-out gang war, with people being murdered on both sides, and years of heartbreak playing out on the streets and in the music. When YoungBoy left juvenile detention, inspired to become a rapper rather than a robber, it wouldn't take long for others to see the potential that this teenage rap prodigy had. From here, a group of people from his neighborhood, with ties to the music industry as well as the streets, would begin to take him under their wing. YoungBoy's first mixtape, Life Before Fame, was actually released under the banner of TBG, with YoungBoy and 3-3 being seen in throwback pictures rocking TBG merch. TBG stands for Top Boy Gorilla, a crew with a storied history in the wild and dangerous streets of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. TBG was supposedly started by deceased Louisiana native and affiliate of rap veteran Boosie, Little Ivy Smith. He would turn out to be the uncle of future TBG rap prospect Lit Yoshi, but more on him later. Now, Lil Ivy was sadly killed in an unsolved triple homicide back in 2005. However, at this early stage in the game, YoungBoy was nothing more than a promising young prospect to these Baton Rouge rap OGs. The older members of TBG were looking to find the next up-and-coming rap rookie who could potentially be the next homegrown rap star to come out of Baton Rouge. And at the time, the real crown jewels of the TBG squad were a couple of rappers known as G Money and Fredo Bang, who around the time were picking up steam with their song iPhone 6 alongside Boulevard Mel and YMM Captain. You can tell that YoungBoy was truly close with the TBG crew at this point, because YoungBoy even appeared in the background of the iPhone 6 music video, at one point handing a Gucci bag to Fredo Bang, a moment that would honestly be inconceivable in what would later become a deadly and bitter beef. As the story goes, the TBG crew had ties to Baton Rouge's criminal underworld, and rappers and affiliates of the TBG crew were still involved in the local drug trade. Unfortunately, soon some of this street beef would end up souring things on the music side, because the TBG crew supposedly had a beef going with another Baton Rouge crew called BBG, or Bottom Boy Gorillas. Gang, crew, clique, record label, call them whatever you want, but BBG and TBG were bitter enemies, with a big rumour at one point going around that YoungBoy's cousin Boozilla, who was affiliated with BBG, ended up in a bitter disagreement with G-Money from TBG. Now, there's been intense speculation over the years as to what was the exact cause of this beef. Some have suggested that Boozilla ran off with money or drugs from G-Money, whilst others suggest that the whole drama was actually over a woman. Another explanation even suggests that it was actually YoungBoy himself who stole money from G-Money, but actually blamed the finesse on his cousin Boozilla, as Boozilla was seen on Twitter disavowing his own family at one point, and G-Money seemingly indicating that this rumor was true on his diss track Industry, where he claimed that YoungBoy had him looking for Boozilla with a gun, and saying that Boozilla actually wanted to kill YoungBoy over this whole situation. There's even an old clip circulating that showed Boozilla and BBG affiliate Baby Joe seemingly posted up with guns looking for YoungBoy and saying F NBA.
Yeah, NBA. Yeah, pull up. What up, Baby Joe? Pull that bitch up. So
This was unusual because previously Boozilla had claimed to be a member of the group NBA, and even at one point referred to himself as NBA Boosie. Now, I'll explain to you what NBA means in a minute, but just bear with me. Because meanwhile, as that personal beef was developing, another more professional beef was emerging between YoungBoy and the TBG crew. According to some, at a certain point YoungBoy got frustrated with the TBG label. This was likely due to the fact that he wasn't necessarily getting the money or shine that he thought he deserved from the crew, with their main focus being on building the careers of G-Money and Fredo Bang.
I just can't see that beat. Okay, the whole I wanted nigga wanted to shine or felt like he was a star or shit, and so he felt like he wasn't getting the right because it's probably some whole other shit, but he felt like he wasn't getting the proper treatment at the label, so he left. And I don't see why that's a big deal and why that's keep getting mentioned, because shit. The nigga felt like he was a bigger rapper or whatever the case may have been, and like I don't get why he keep bringing that shit up and what's getting told. Like, that's not a big deal to me though. Like, unless they ain't gave him some money, but nobody's giving nobody money on some business shit without even no paperwork. So it's like, I don't know how to explain it, bro. I do not know how to explain it, but why the hell you keep mentioning that the nigga wanted to leave and all that, and that started problems and they went in a different direction. Like, that shit happens all the time, more than y'all fucking think. You know, that shit happens a lot. Let's just say companies go a different direction all the time. Yeah, some of y'all may learn that. I mean, probably already know that, but some of y'all gonna have to go through life for y'all to figure that shit the fuck out, you know? Yeah.
Rather than investing in YoungBoy. So at some point, YoungBoy and 3-3 would leave TBG, starting their own crew. Initially, 3-3 and YoungBoy wanted a group based on YoungBoy's initials, Kentrell Golden, or KG. Since KG also means kilograms, the initial idea was to call their crew Weight Gang, another reference to the drug game.
At first his name was like KG, but then we got like, that's where the Weight Gang come from. But
what did KG stand for?
Like his initials. That's his name.
Right.
But Weight Gang was one of the first things he had came up with.
But clearly that name wasn't really hitting the spot. So later on, a few of the members of this crew were just chilling, sitting on their porch, when YoungBoy apparently vowed that he was not trying to go broke no more, to which other members of the crew agreed the same thing, with this pledge giving the crew inspiration to name themselves Never Broke Again, or NBA.
Like when we was on the porch one day, it was like, we ain't trying to go broke no more, and then he was like, I ain't trying to go broke neither, so we never broke again. Like, you know what I'm saying? From day one, that's where NBA started from, like.
So the NBA crew was born, naturally taking some inspiration from the National Basketball Association. They would even make their logo the Jumpman, the iconic logo affiliated with basketball legend Michael Jordan dunking a basketball, but for Never Broke Again, their version would be a man jumping up in the air holding a pistol. YoungBoy's NBA crew wanted to go from pistol-toting stick-up kids to music industry heavy hitters being paid as much as professional basketball players. Now, whether or not you like the name, there was no denying that the meaning behind it was powerful, and together, the Never Broke Again crew rallied around YoungBoy, vowing to do whatever it took to take him to the top, and make sure that they as a group never go broke again. So, before we dive any deeper into the goings-on...
That's correct. Just seeing it. It ain't really too mind-blowing that these niggas still... You know what I'm saying?
Is a rally the name around YoungBoy, vowing.
But that's some of the same niggas, or all the same niggas, huh?
again. So before we dive any deeper into the goings-on of the Never Broke Again crew, let's just take a quick look at some of the main members of that collective so that you can follow everything that's about to go down in this long and complicated story. YoungBoy is of course the face of Never Broke Again, the NBA collective. He is the label's leading rapper. And this crew's bet on getting behind YoungBoy's career would ultimately end up paying off handsomely. And with his crew's support, he would go on to become one of the big is apparently where his passion lies.
My main focus is it wouldn't be a career. I wouldn't choose rap as a career because I am a CEO and I love my position.
But 3 has also gained a cult following of his own from being the head honcho of the NBA crew. And considering the dark reputation that has followed YoungBoy over the many deadly years of his career, this has led to many internet fanboys speculating on whether OG3 is the true mastermind behind the violence playing out in Baton Rouge. With many Reddit posts circulating, constantly speculating on how many deaths that 3-3 might be responsible for, or even sometimes referring to him as the Grim Threeper. But it's unclear if that is just straight trolling. Because in reality, OG3 has always tried to look out and take care of YoungBoy and keep him on the straight and narrow, acting as the voice of reason in his life.
That's my baby brother. I always look out for him. I always take care of him. But like, I don't ever expect him to do nothing bad. But he don't do it intentionally. It might be on accident. But I always talk to him and enforce that like we shouldn't be doing a lot of things. And you know he listens. So it's like I always was that type of person. Right. I always was that.
Kind of like the voice of reason for when he gets a little hot-headed. You're like, so that'll help calm him down. Because he probably listen to you and he ain't trying to listen to a lot of random people.
Yeah, he ain't gonna listen to nobody. If it ain't me.
Then you've got Montana. According to a Billboard article profiling YoungBoy, Kyle Montana Clybourne found YoungBoy's music early on YouTube, and in the absence of a father figure or any real older male role model in his family, it seems like Montana assumed a kind of father figure role for YoungBoy in the early stages of his life and career, giving him guidance on how to survive the gritty streets of North Baton Rouge. In fact, in the song Lonely Child from his October 2019 project AI YoungBoy 2, YoungBoy admits that he has been missing his father, and as a result, he actually calls Montana his father. Montana would help co-found around the Never Broke Again label along with YoungBoy and 3-3, with interviews explaining that in the early days of NBA, YoungBoy would be sleeping on an air mattress at Montana's house, at a time when Montana played the role of manager, booking agent, and financier, driving YoungBoy all around the South to perform for between $500 and $1,500 a show to build his fan base in the early days. However, there's always been confusion over exactly who YoungBoy's manager specifically is, and to be fair, it has changed over the years. For a period of time, YoungBoy's manager was a man by the name of Big Dump. Sometimes referred to as YoungBoy's manager or agent, it was Dump who was there for YoungBoy during the most turbulent years of his come-up, but Dump would ultimately end up losing his life in 2018, seemingly as a direct result of the deadly street beef between these two warring Baton Rouge gang sets. But we'll go much deeper into that situation later on in the story. Another person who played a significant role on the management side is someone called Fee Banks, a Louisiana industry legend who had apparently helped Lil Wayne start Young Money and previously managed Kevin Gates. These people are the brains and administrators behind the NBA empire. And then, when it comes to the rapping side, we have a number of NBA members with a much closer proximity to the streets. Now, there's a lot of names that have been affiliated with this crew over the years, and this list is by no means a definitive list of everyone who has had something to do with NBA as a crew, so don't be offended if you got left off. But these are just some of the people who have played a major role in YoungBoy's crew and who play a relevant role in today's story. I'm talking about people like NBA Ben 10. This is OG3's younger blood cousin and a day one NBA affiliate. Ben met YoungBoy at 3's house, and apparently the two had a fight the first time that they met.
Man, 3 first cousins, blood. Like, we used to stay together. His mom and mom used to live together, so that's how I met 3. And B, I met that day at 3 house. I met that. We had a fight the same day, you heard me?
But apparently after this fight, they would share a blunt and become good friends, going on to make money and catch cases together since they were just 12 years old.
We spoke the blunt, you heard me? Yeah, I became part of the NBA the same day, just like that.
How old y'all was like around that time?
I'd say probably finna turn 12 or 12.
Ben has been a key part of the collective since day one, with a huge presence on social media, particularly Instagram, where he would give exclusive insights and snippets into the world of Never Broke Again. 10 still posts regularly on Instagram despite his original account having been taken down, and he's even seen some recent success in his own right as a rapper, with songs such as Pain and Walking Dead amassing over 1 million views each. But he's also a loose cannon, and not somebody to be messed with. He was seen on IG Live with YoungBoy, Baby Joe, and other NBA members playing with guns, with Ben 10 letting off shots on IG Live, causing Baby Joe to duck for cover. BBG Baby Joe is another one of YoungBoy's cousins, who despite his young age, has lived through a lot, including a bullet to the face.
You know, you guys were on the freeway. I think it was you and 2 friends, and a car opened fire on you guys.
We were leaving Walmart. Everybody had went and got some cake and ice cream for my baby for his birthday. And I walk out Walmart, I see this shit. And then we didn't get, I ain't get shot on the interstate. I don't know where people get their information from. I was trying to was at the light, and then it just went like that, you hear me?
Despite facing serious danger in the streets, Baby Joe has been aiming to make a name for himself in the music industry and make himself some legitimate money. His 2018 song, Iraq, has over 5 million views, and as a beloved member of the NBA crew, Joe's name often pops up in YoungBoy's songs. And if these lyrics are anything to go by, it seems that Joe's relationship with the streets remains strong. Another key member of the crew is Meteoric Baby. Well known as YoungBoy's raspy-voiced big cousin, he's best known for his early 2000s style song Cutlass, as well as his 2020 track with YoungBoy, Talk My, a track which has amassed an impressive 47 million views at the time of recording. YoungBoy has talked about hitting licks and doing burglaries with his older cousin Meechie on numerous occasions in his lyrics, leading some listeners to think that it was perhaps Meechie who had influenced YoungBoy's involvement with the streets in his early life. Then of course you have Big B, who picked up a lot of attention for his fire verse on the NBA posse cut, That Gang, which picked up over 5 million views and also featured 3-3 and KD. Big B exhibits a more conventional rapping style compared to some other members of the NBA crew, with less laid-back melodies and catchy hooks, and more hard-hitting bars and punchy refrains delivered with aggressiveness and energy on the mic. There's NBA KD, he's known musically for his versatility and distinct flow, as well as a standout performance on their song That Gang. He also popped up with a verse on the song Extortion with Big B and 3-3, a track which got over 2 million views. His biggest solo track is the 2018 song When I Wake Up, and KD showed a lot of promise and potential in the early years of rap. Unfortunately, his momentum was derailed by a life-changing injury getting shot in 2019. Reportedly, after this incident, KD was confined to a wheelchair. However, there's been a lot of speculation as to whether he was walking again after a period of rehabilitation. Whilst that's not been confirmed, since the incident, he has remained firmly behind the scenes, but is a beloved member of NBA. Another major member of the crew is Herm the Black Sheep. Musically, fans appreciate Herm for his real and authentic lyrics and subject matter rather than his style or flow on the mic. And if the content of his lyrics are to be believed, he is certainly not one to be messed with. In the same vein, there's also Who Gang D, aka Lil D, or Scully. This is another cousin of YoungBoy with a serious reputation in the streets and his own budding rap career, with his catchy double-meaning titled song, Can't Go to Sleep, running up 1.6 million views at the time of this writing. Interestingly though, D wasn't even aware that he was YoungBoy's cousin when they first became friends, apparently only finding out later through his mother and grandfather.
I didn't know he was my cousin at first.
Oh, really?
See, I was thugging with 3
at
first. And then my mama had texted me like, when I was with him for a whole month straight, with YB for a month, she had texted me, she was like, she talked to my papa, and he told her that I had a cousin named NBA YoungBoy that rap. You get what I'm saying? And she was like, for real? That's crazy, he already be hanging with him.
He is apparently the survivor of a gunshot wound to the neck, with YoungBoy having dropped numerous lyrics complimenting D as a reliable shooter, even going as far in the song Bring the Hook to label him a headshot specialist. This is a skill that D himself all but admitted in his off-the-porch interview.
How'd you get the nickname Scully?
From this tattoo, I'm just saying like that. The gun, shooting the score.
Yeah.
Scully.
He's got a promising rap career, a likable personality, and big potential to be a star on the mic if he can stay out of trouble. You've also got Lil Pap, Ben 10's little brother and a known shooter for the NBA crew in the streets. YoungBoy has mentioned him as being active in the streets in numerous songs, labeling him specifically as somebody who YoungBoy can call on for certain favors. And he recently got 5 years for his apparent involvement in the murder of TBG rival rapper G Money, which we will discuss in detail shortly. There's also NBA Chopper Boy, a big man with a big range in his vocals, bringing a great singing voice to the mic that serves to provide a canvas for his dark and menacing lyrics. Then you've got Barber, one of YoungBoy's frequently referenced shooters. Like Pap, Barber, or Baba Osama, is mentioned quite a bit in some of YoungBoy's most violent songs, with YoungBoy even rapping on the track Carter's Son that he calls up Barber to get the guns and go and rob people for him.
Damn,
now,
I
Barber
forgot
has
I was
a pretty
fucking muted. Again, I said that's the best you came up with, bro. I know somebody gonna be like, I'm gonna have to edit that in, don't even worry about it.
Extensive rap sheet demonstrating just how active he was in the streets, and he's currently locked up on murder charges. But these aren't your average murder charges. It's actually been reported that Baba Osama is facing a whopping 9 counts of murder, with some recent posts on social media even suggesting that Baba Osama was actively working as a gang assassin or hitman, engaging in murder for hire for numerous gangs. Now that's not necessarily everybody that's been involved with YoungBoy's NBA crew over the years, but they are the people that we'll be talking about most extensively in today's story. Clearly, YoungBoy's NBA crew are a group of young men coming out of some of the most difficult streets that the Deep South has to offer. Clearly, some of these guys aren't afraid to break the law and even kill to protect what's theirs. Whether that's their own lives, the lives of those around them, or the life of their top breadwinner, YoungBoy. The NBA crew are truly willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that they indeed never go broke again. However, there's been a lot of confusion over the years, because as well as NBA, there's another group that YoungBoy and other NBA members shout out a lot, and that's 4K Trey, or 4KT. It would appear that while YoungBoy started his record label in the name NBA, or Never Broke Again, his affiliations to actual gangs in the streets of Baton Rouge goes by another name. YoungBoy has dropped numerous lyrics where he claims to be a member of the gang 4K Trey, who sometimes refer to themselves as Slimes. He's also made numerous references to being in America's infamous Blood Gang. Now, slime is a decades-old term that has been associated over the years with Blood Gang members. This term was initially brought to the public's attention by Blood rapper Vado, who released numerous projects that would reference slime, with the usage of the Blood slang slime and slat being popularized in mainstream modern rap music by Atlanta Blood rapper Young Thug, who is currently incarcerated awaiting trial for gang-affiliated charges. Now, this slime ideology essentially sees Blood members identifying under the colour green rather than the traditional red bandana that Blood members are known to wear. And as YoungBoy got further into the music industry, he would seemingly build close relationships with other rappers who were known to affiliate with the Blood Gang or identified as Slime. People like Birdman, 21 Savage, and Young Thug himself. And as the years went by, YoungBoy would increasingly use his lyrics and music videos to shout out his affiliations to 4K Trey, the Blood Gang, or Slimes, even naming his Never Broke Again label compilation album Green Flag Activity, along with him and his crew frequently being seen in public with nothing but slime green bandanas and blue clothing. They would also sometimes refer to each other as Fours for 4K Trey. However, for the specific explanation of the gang's name 4K Trey, this has been a mystery that has sparked debate amongst NBA fans for years. One popular theory is that it simply means 4 Kentrell, and that his 4KT gang are killing or shooting specifically for YoungBoy, or Kentrell. Another popular theory claims that 4KT actually stands for Forever Killing Them, a more general rallying cry against their ops. Other people think that 4KT actually relates to the names of YoungBoy's first children, with the first 4 of their names beginning with K and 1 beginning with T, with this being a more vanilla interpretation of the gang's name, suggesting that 4KT is a way of YoungBoy saying that he's essentially doing what he does for his children, whose initials are K and T. Another explanation circulates, suggesting that 4KT actually means 4 Crazy Trey. This is a reference to Crazy Trey, a young man from Baton Rouge who was gunned down at a party in 2014. He was apparently close friends with one of YoungBoy's biggest enemies from Baton Rouge, Fredo Bang, a detail which has led many to suggest that this actually couldn't possibly be the true meaning of 4K Trey, with some outright denying this explanation, suggesting that YoungBoy had not even yet associated with Fredo Bang at the time 4KT was founded. There's yet another theory that 4KT actually refers to YoungBoy's cousin Boozilla, who was killed in 2016, as his real name was Keandre, with a suggestion that 4K Trey actually was originally 4K Dre, or Keandre, but the Dre over time ended up being changed to Trey. Now look, at this stage, it's unclear exactly what 4K Trey stands for, but in the end, perhaps we aren't supposed to know the real meaning. And the idea that the true origins of this gang that YoungBoy supposedly affiliates with being shrouded in secrecy kinda makes perfect sense. After all, YoungBoy's artist Quando Rondo would even say in his song Way Up that he actually threw a girl out just for even asking what 4K Trey meant. Clearly it's a secret, and clearly I'm not supposed to know, which means you are definitely not supposed to know. But now you know the city, the gangs, the label, and the people behind the music, let's take a closer look at the story, the incredible ups, the devastating downs, and the lessons to be learned from YoungBoy's one-of-a-kind career and life journey. After falling out with his old label and crew, TBG or Top Boy Gorillas, YoungBoy and his brother from another mother, OG3, would start their new crew, NBA, vowing to make it in the rap game and never go broke again.
From day one, that's where NBA started from, like, me and him sitting on that porch, like, really saying we wasn't trying to go broke no more.
The formation of his new NBA crew was announced with a bang when YoungBoy dropped his earliest surviving music video, the aptly titled NBA, on his own YouTube channel. That video saw YoungBoy and 3-3 surrounded by their NBA muscle all around 38th Street with all type of firearms. And the song itself came with lyrics where YoungBoy shouted out his shooter, NBA Pap, rapping that he sends Pap to go and hit people up, as well as shouting out another shooter as NBA Connor with the Mac 11, going on to describe his NBA shooters as being as proficient with firearms as Navy SEALs. He would also rap about the cops and his ops in the city trying to hunt him down, and naming NBA outright as the gang that he represents. YoungBoy's first ever mixtape, Life Before Fame, was launched under the TBG banner, the label Top Boy Gorillas, with their logo visible on the bottom left of the cover art. But by December 1st, 2015, YoungBoy was going at it alone under his new NBA banner, with a fresh mixtape, Mind of a Menace, being released fully independently and presented under the banner of his own NBA crew. And it would appear that YoungBoy and NBA were using this project as an opportunity to drop sneak disses and disrespect towards their former crew TBG. On the project, he would drop several lines that were directed towards TBG, suggesting that they envied him and that he wasn't willing to work under somebody else's administration. YoungBoy was beginning to build momentum independently of his former crew, and he'd keep his foot on the gas into 2016, following up his second mixtape with Speed. On April 1st, 2016, only 4 months after Mind of a Menace dropped, YoungBoy blessed his budding fanbase with a sequel, Mind of a Menace 2, and on this project, he continued to drop shade on his former crew TBG. In the intro for this tape, he suggests that they didn't live up to their promises and says that he's ready to go to war with his former allies. Then in the song A Lot of Miles, YoungBoy explains that rather than switching on TBG like some say he did, he actually claims to have just gotten smarter and that he hasn't really changed at all. Perhaps indicating that he felt he got smart to what was going on and realized that his career would benefit more as a free agent. YoungBoy would seemingly indicate his team's readiness to go to war with their former crew. On the track Fact, rapping that he's riding around with Pap, OG3, and Guns, looking for their ops and aiming to make their guns go boom when they see them. Around this time, it seems clear that YoungBoy formed his winning strategy of flooding the internet with music through frequent mixtape releases. Less than 3 months after Mind of a Menace 2, YoungBoy would drop yet another mixtape, Before I Go, which was released on June the 27th, 2016. And on this project, YoungBoy would begin to drop hints alluding to the ongoing beef with G Money, the star rapper of his former crew TBG, Top Boy Gorillas. YoungBoy would also be shooting more threats to his former crew on the song Change, saying YoungBoy not TBG, and if someone plays, he's gonna get it. And another lyric on the song Change seemed to acknowledge a rumor that G Money had actually hooked up with YoungBoy's sister, with YoungBoy saying he won't speak on sleeping with my sister, something that perhaps wasn't public knowledge at the time of this song's release. But around a year later, G Money would openly admit and kind of brag about hooking up with YoungBoy's sister in a Say Cheese interview.
He met about his sister too though.
About his sister?
Yeah, I had a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
The beef between YoungBoy and G Money would be further complicated by YoungBoy's cousin Boozilla. Boozilla repped BBG, or Bottom Boy Gorillas. They were the main rivals of TBG until YoungBoy started his NBA crew. Story goes that G Money from TBG was beefing with Boozilla from BBG over some stolen drugs. Drugs which some believe YoungBoy himself may have actually stolen, blaming Boozilla. This theory is based on lyrics G Money rapped on his song Industry, where he claimed YoungBoy's own cousin wanted to kill him. So, on July the 16th, 2016, YoungBoy's cousin Boozilla drops the song Forgive Me, where he's dissing TBG and repping BBG. He wears a BBG t-shirt in the video, and he shouts out the Bottom Boys as his crew. He'd rap lyrics seeming to suggest that he was a shooter and that he wants to kill a rapper. But more specifically, he dissed another local rapper by the name of FL Doosa. Doosa is from the FL, or Forever Loyalty crew, who would later be closely affiliated with TBG, with Doosa himself later dropping numerous songs with Fredo Bang, Lit Yoshi, and other TBG artists. In Boozilla's song Forgive Me, he raps that Doosa is scared to walk through the South, and that he's laying down the law in his area. Apparently the beef between Boozilla and Doosa was extremely personal and would eventually turn deadly. But before things would escalate to more violence, YoungBoy would end up making a huge leap forward in his rap career. On September the 21st, 2016, YoungBoy drops the video for his breakout track 38 Baby. Named after the street he grew up on, Northside 38, this song was a window into his life fresh out of the streets. The track painted a picture of his daily life, drinking lean, smoking with demons, and sending his hitters at people for any reason he can find, explaining how he's not able to go.
Nah, I remember when that shit dropped, though. I remember when that shit dropped. It was like every day, nigga was just, it be a young boy, it be a young boy. And it was around September, too. That's
Anywhere without being armed, and having to look out for old friends who turned on him over envy.
See, the blow up now don't even seem the same, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Like, the blow up now don't even seem the same. It's like it damn near seem manufactured nowadays. You know what I'm saying? When it came back to, you know.
Frankly, this song described a lot of pressure for a 16-year-old kid to be dealing with at the time. In the track, he also seemed to drop shade on G Money and TBG, denying their claims that they blew him up as a rapper and claiming that they just don't like the fact that he's now blowing up faster than them. The music video for 38 Baby saw YoungBoy and his friends toting plenty of firearms, and many people were taken aback by seeing somebody so young surrounded by so much danger and communicating the stark reality of their life so clearly over a catchy beat. Hell, footage would later even circulate showing that YoungBoy actually recorded many of the songs from around this period with an actual AK-47 on him in the recording booth. This 16-year-old YoungBoy was living a life truly beyond his years, and this spectacle would attract the attention of many, many more fans and music industry players. The song 38 Baby and its music video has garnered over 100 million views on YouTube to this day, and the song itself was followed by a full mixtape also titled 38 Baby, which dropped on October the 28th, 2016. This project would truly be the watershed moment of YoungBoy's career professionally, and he would finally get co-signs from respected rappers in the industry. As on the mixtape itself, YoungBoy secured collaborations with fellow Louisiana Baton Rouge legends such as Kevin Gates and Boosie Badass, as well as a verse from his day one brother OG3. In fact, Kevin Gates, after appearing on the 38 Baby mixtape track Like Me, even got a portrait of YoungBoy tattooed on his right leg just to show his admiration for the rising Louisiana legend. And Boosie would invite YoungBoy to feature on his November 2016 track, My Lil Son. where YoungBoy rapped menacingly about sliding on his ops with NBA Joe and 3-3. But back to the 38 Baby mixtape. As well as gaining YoungBoy the respect of heavy hitters in the Baton Rouge rap scene, it also gained YoungBoy an enormous amount of fame and success in the eyes of his fanbase. But bizarrely, in very YoungBoy fashion, rather than reveling in the success of his latest release, just a week after the 38 Baby project dropped, he came out with yet another mixtape, Mind of a Menace 3, releasing on November the 4th, 2016. This time coming with yet another major industry cosign, a remix of his song Murder featuring Atlanta blood rapper 21 Savage, a remix which also dropped with a music video the very same day. YoungBoy even later claimed that he became a member of 21 Savage's set of the Blood Gang, 4L, and they seemingly fostered a close relationship, something which would unfortunately deteriorate years later. But regardless, at this point YoungBoy seemingly had fully muscled his way into the music industry, and it would be these major moves that would have YoungBoy's name ringing not just in the streets, but also in the corner offices of record labels. At a certain point in 2016, he started working with super manager Fee Banks, a Louisiana industry legend who had apparently helped Lil Wayne start Young Money and previously managed Kevin Gates. Fee would begin to advocate on behalf of YoungBoy in the music industry, ultimately putting him in the position to field multi-million-dollar offers from major record labels. So at this point, YoungBoy was seemingly set. He'd survived the dangerous streets of Northside 38, escaping the trenches with his life, and escaping the clutches of his former crew TBG as a free agent able to take his career wherever he wanted without hindrance. The problem is, sometimes you can rise to the top so fast that it hurts. And unfortunately for YoungBoy, troubling legal issues seem to arrive just as quickly as the money and fame did. And unfortunately, due to the brewing troubles in the streets between his former crew and his extended family, YoungBoy would end up being placed in a difficult position, ultimately catching a serious case that had the potential to put a complete stop to his promising career just as it was getting started. While YoungBoy's star is beginning to rise, the deadly war on the streets of Baton Rouge is raging on. After departing from the crew TBG, Top Boy Gorilla, YoungBoy and his Never Broke Again or NBA collective would become bitter rivals with the former crew. And this situation was only complicated further by the ongoing drama between TBG and their original rivals BBG, Bottom Boy Gorillas, a crew which YoungBoy's cousin Boozilla was a prominent member of. Despite the two apparently having a falling out in 2015, it would seem that by 2016, Boozilla and YoungBoy's NBA crew had made things right, as Boozilla would post on Twitter that he'd forgiven, as well as tweeting warning people not to play with BBG or NBA, suggesting that these two crews were in alliance against TBG and any of their affiliates. But things would all come to a head for these warring groups at the end of 2016. On July the 16th, 2016, YoungBoy's cousin Boozilla drops the song Forgive Me, where he's dissing TBG and repping BBG, with lyrics in the song dissing another local rapper by the name of FL Dusa, saying Dusa is scared to walk through the South and that they're laying down the law in their area. It would seem that this lyric was taken as a personal challenge by his opposition, as just after midnight on November the 2nd, 2016, YoungBoy's cousin, 18-year-old BBG Boozilla, real name Keandre Ricks, would be riding his bike near the 2000 block of Nebraska Street, less than a block from his family home. And it was here where he was targeted by gunmen who shot him multiple times in the upper torso and left him dead in the middle of the street. Boozilla's mother would go on to do a distraught interview with WAFB News after reports of the brutal killing became public.
You gotta bury your child. This is so wrong when people kill kids.
Kenya Taylor is still grieving more than a month after her son, 18-year-old Keandre Ricks, was shot and killed just steps away from his Nebraska Street home.
It's like I'm dreaming and I haven't woke up yet. Like I had a bad dream. I'm just waiting on the Lord to wake me up.
Taylor walked us over to where her son's body was found, a place she's visited often, trying to make sense of the senseless killing.
Then this way he must have fell it right here, because they had blood all right here.
Now, after this shooting, things get very complicated. It's widely believed that the murder of Boozilla was in connection with the ongoing feud that he had going with FL Dusa.
I say this though, like, you know, this is the kind of go back into around the same time frame. I remember people coming to the streams mentioning Boozilla in the song Forgive Me. Actually, I pulled it up and all that. I remember that shit, but I couldn't take nothing away from it. Like, I never connected, like, none of this shit. Like, it just never clicked up here. I just heard this song, I was like, yeah, that was a cool song. Ooh, and just kept it going, you know?
With the majority of the comments on Boozilla's music video,
you know, it's like when you get to sitting here and just kind of, you just sit here and think about this, all the shit that happened then, or where was you at, and just, you know, just little shit like that.
Forgive Me, seeming to mock him, saying that he said Dusa is scared to walk through the South, and suggesting that this caused somebody to come through and take his life. Now, despite the differences they may have had in the past, naturally the murder of Bouzilla would have devastating effects on his cousin YoungBoy and other members of NBA and BBG. So, unsurprisingly, it didn't take long for those on Bouzilla's side to attempt to get revenge for his murder. Bouzilla was killed around midnight on Wednesday the 2nd November 2016, and retaliation would come around 9.5 hours later, when around 9:30 AM on the 2000 block of Kentucky Street, just a couple of blocks away from where the fatal shooting of Bouzilla occurred, a vehicle containing YoungBoy and 3 of his NBA affiliates pulls up and starts shooting. Unfortunately, this attempt at revenge ends up going wrong, and somebody from YoungBoy's group ends up getting shot in the neck. Allegedly, NBA Joe.
Police find a man suffering from a gunshot wound to the neck, saying he was shot in a different neighborhood just a few streets away.
With rumors circulating, debating whether or not it was friendly fire from YoungBoy or his side hitting Joe, or the targets of their gunfire returning fire and connecting. And years later, the police report from the incident would even suggest that YoungBoy himself had been firing from the vehicle with an assault rifle. Regardless of exactly who was responsible, at this point the getaway car flees the scene, with the shooters and the injured man driving to the area of May and East Lakeshore Drive. Ultimately, this car would end up getting a flat tire and crashing at the LSU Lakes. Here, the shooters flee, leaving the injured man in his vehicle, where he's fortunately found by police and given medical attention. Naturally, it didn't take long for details of these outrageous back-to-back shootings to hit the news.
At this hour, there are a lot of questions remaining around 2 Baton Rouge shootings. One left a teenager dead, the other ended with the victim wounded at LSU Lakes.
Possibly 3 different scenes, and all 3 may be connected. That's what Baton Rouge police are trying to figure out. They've been interviewing witnesses, but so far they do not have any suspects. Just after midnight, Baton Rouge police went out to Nebraska Street. 18-year-old Keandre Ricks was found dead, lying in the street, shot multiple times in the chest. Neighbors in the area tell us they saw a silver-colored Hyundai with 3 people inside driving around the area late night and into this morning. Then, shortly after 9:30 this morning, police get a call from a man shot once in the neck around the LSU Lakes. When they finally found him, he was in a silver-colored Hyundai. He was transported to the hospital and listed in stable condition as of now. Baton Rouge police have said the shooting did not start here at the lakes. Instead, they're looking to see if 3 different scenes are all connected. The first was at Nebraska, well, just 8 streets over, or 0.4 miles away. Around 9:30 this morning, police say a man was shot in the neck. He or the suspect then drove 1.4 miles to East Lakeshore and May around the LSU Lakes and called police for help. This is not a random shooting. They believe the shooter and victim actually did know each other.
Surprisingly, however, the violence was still not over, and the following day, on the 3rd of November 2016, at roughly 9:49 AM, shooters would return to the street where Bouzilla lived with his family and was killed, with officers nearby claiming to have heard 37 gunshots, apparently fired by 2 shooters, who then fled the scene in a getaway vehicle. They would leave 2 homes on the street riddled with bullets, and at this point, the violence in Baton Rouge, held just in this street alone, was spiraling out of control. And at a certain point, the danger was so high that the authorities placed the local
3 bad BR schools placed on lockdown for 2nd day in the 2nd row due to shots fired in the area.
School on lockdown out of fear that further shootings would affect the children in the local community.
A number of schools in East Baton Rouge Parish are on lockdown for separate reasons today. We start with the 3 schools that were also placed on lockdown yesterday.
Police are still on scene here at the intersection of Nebraska and East Harrison Street. They're looking into reports of shots fired earlier today. Now you can see details are still very limited, but much of the investigation is centered around this white home here right near the intersection of East Harrison and Nebraska Street. This is the latest in a rash of recent shootings in this area over the past few days, including one that left an 18-year-old dead. The teen was found shot to death Wednesday in the 2000 block of Nebraska Street. That incident happened around midnight. Then yesterday morning around 9:30, a man was shot in the neck on Kentucky Street, which is just a couple of blocks from the spot where that fatal shooting occurred. The victim left the area in a car and then parked around the LSU Lakes to call for help. These recent violent incidents near Nebraska have left some residents feeling uneasy.
At this point, even people living on this street were being interviewed by the news, telling them that it's like living in hell.
I live on this street, and this is about the worst street to live on. You say living in hell? This is hell right here. The young folks don't have no respect for old Elizabeth.
At some point, the shooting would stop, the smoke would clear, and local investigators would finally be able to piece together exactly what had happened and putting those involved in handcuffs. A 17-year-old man by the name of Trayshawn Coates would be arrested and charged with second-degree murder for the killing of Boozilla, along with a 27-year-old man by the name of Monty Carey. This was reported in The Advocate that also published an interview with Boozilla's mother. In it, she would claim that since the killing, her other children's grades have fallen in school and that they're suffering behavioural issues. And I thought that this was an important detail to include, because you have to remember that when somebody gets killed in a gang feud, it starts a chain reaction, and ultimately, this cycle of violence affects far more than just the victims. Whether it's their innocent relatives suffering depression following the incident, or surviving friends who vow to commit acts of violence in revenge, a vicious cycle is started when that first killing happens, that only accelerates with more retaliation, dragging more and more innocent people into this deadly cycle of violence. Anyway, despite the rumours that FL Dusa was involved in the killing of Boozilla after he dissed him on the song Forgive Me, Dusa, real name Renard Clifton, would not be connected to this incident officially, though theories would circulate online suggesting that he was the one that sent the hit. He would remain free following this incident, going on to release songs like Straight Facts. However, he would end up in jail on a separate attempted murder charge stemming from a double shooting on the 3rd of June 2018, which we'll go into in detail later. But with the shooters of Boozilla in cuffs, the Baton Rouge police would...
What? Just off this doc alone, that makes you think. I mean, just off where we at in this motherfucker, it'll make you feel like that's all them niggas do is put that, what they say, put that iron on a motherfucker. Shit. God damn.
Next be tasked with finding those NBA members who slid the following day, with one member who got shot in the neck already in the arms of law enforcement. Their next job was to get their hands on YoungBoy himself. A warrant was issued for his arrest, and he would be tracked down by authorities, being arrested on November the 28th, being taken into custody by US Marshals just before he could get on stage at a show in Austin, Texas, in dramatic scenes that were even caught on camera.
Hey, get inside, get inside. Hey, get the hell inside, get the fuck inside.
YoungBoy was charged on suspicion of attempted first-degree murder from the alleged drive-by shooting, while NBA Big B, real name Trulondrick Norman, was also involved in the shooting but wouldn't get arrested for his role in it until 2019. There was also NBA Ben 10, real name Ben Fields, who would also be identified as having participated in this drive-by shooting. As a result, following the arrest of the NBA crew and YoungBoy himself, the local news would begin to report on this dramatic takedown of one of Baton Rouge's most promising rappers.
17-year-old rapper Kentrell Gaulden, better known by his stage name NBA YoungBoy, is behind bars tonight after being taken into custody by federal authorities before a concert in Austin, Texas.
Tonight, police say they've arrested 17-year-old Kentrell Gaulden, a rapper known by his stage name NBA YoungBoy, in connection to a drive-by shooting on Kentucky Street. Detectives believe those shootings may have been in retaliation to Rick's death and say more arrests are possible as they continue to investigate.
At this point, YoungBoy would be taken back to Louisiana and booked into prison with a $200,000 bond being set. But the Baton Rouge police weren't done seeking justice yet, as the final piece of the puzzle would fall into place once police announced an arrest in the third shooting, which occurred on Boozilla Street the day after NBA members had attempted to get revenge for his death the previous night, with cops identifying 20-year-old Derek Geis, who was taken into custody, accused of being the getaway driver for two other shooters, being charged with attempted murder, attempted second-degree murder, aggravated criminal damage of property, illegal use of a weapon, and simple criminal damage to property. And he would ultimately end up pleading down to a lesser weapons charge and getting only 2 years in jail, with cops ultimately identifying one of the shooters in the case as Michael Odenyinma, as well as, shockingly, Trayshawn Coates, that very same person who was charged for the Boozilla murder just the day before. Which means that if true, the person that killed Boozilla did it, got spun on by NBA, and still went back the very next day and shot up that same block again. But unfortunately, due to him being just age 17, there was never any public reporting on whether or not he was found guilty for these crimes or sentenced. The murder of Boozilla and days of deadly violence that followed
Bruh. And it's bruh. Because I can't get mad at the facts that he has supporting it. You know what I'm saying? But, bruh, when you hear these motherfucking stories, it sounds made up, but it ain't. Like it's not. Shit's been to court, tried all the other shit, right? The documents out, there's facts. Or what they admitted to. Or whatever the case. It's facts. That's crazy. I clicked on the wrong shit.
Truly rocked this Baton Rouge community, as well as those connected to the victims. Many NBA members would get RIP Boo tattoos on their necks, and others would be seen toting guns at Boozilla's grave. Regular celebrations would be held called Boo Day on his birthday in his honor. And at the 2018 celebration of Boozilla's life, his mother would speak to a crowd, delivering some poignant words to a number of friends and family who had gathered in the area.
It's just my baby time to go. Yes, it hurts. But the good Lord called him home, so he in a better place. And if they ask him to come back here, he wouldn't even want to come back here. He just gonna wait on us to come up there, so y'all gotta do good, so y'all can make it to heaven. He was like, we just for the Lord. I know a lot of people out here doing a lot of stupid things, and I ain't gonna tell y'all don't handle y'all business, but if they ain't coming at you, don't worry about it. But if they come at you, you handle your business. That's all I can tell you. But all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pray for all of y'all, pray y'all make it home safe, and pray for y'all every day. Because I don't want nobody to go through what I'm going through, because this really hurts. This like about to send me insane. Like some days I do good and some days I have my bad days, and today just a good day. But I don't want to see nobody mama going through what I'm going through, nobody's siblings, nobody's family, nothing, because that really hurts. They like when somebody do things like that, change the person's whole life. You think you don't hurt that person, you ain't hurting that person because it ain't meant for them to be here, they gonna leave here. So that person at peace. But that person's family is suffering. So all I want y'all to do is do good, get y'all education, be the best y'all can be. The sky's the limit. Whatever y'all want to do, y'all do.
It's important to remember that no matter how many songs or social media posts glamorize the sliding that goes on between these gangs, behind this are grieving families, mothers and siblings who have to live with the consequences.
Oh Lord, God, jeez, gee, fucking Willikers, fucking flying fudge monkey. What the fuck? That shit. And it always the pinky toe or the big toe. It's never in between. Stupid shit, bruh. Stupid shit.
Of these split-second decisions. And as she said, when somebody dies in the gang wars, that person who died is at peace. It's everyone else who was innocent to the original beef that has to live on with the grief of someone else's impulse.
She didn't say that. Gang war shit. She did not say that, buddy.
Of decisions. Sadly, it would take many years for YoungBoy to realize the consequences of the violence playing out in his music and in his life. But for now, he would be stuck in the system waiting for a chance to plead his case in front of a judge. At the time of these charges, YoungBoy was only 17 years old, but Louisiana is one of the few states in the US where 17-year-olds can be charged as adults. And so, YoungBoy spent December 2016 to August 2017 incarcerated, waiting for updates on his case. But, at least for the fans, it wasn't all bad, because while YoungBoy was locked up, his management team got to work and did their best to keep his music career alive. They created an updated version of his previous project, Before I Go, re-releasing it as Before I Go Reloaded, removing the songs Stuck With Me, Change, and All Night, and adding that 21 Savage remix of Murder, along with the track Bands and Fact. Then, on April the 14th, 2017, the label also released a reloaded version of his Mind of a Menace 3 mixtape, which removed the Murder remix with 21 Savage because they just put it on the Before I Go Reloaded mixtape, as well as taking off the tracks Life and Booting in this, and adding the tracks Blowing Up and Just Made a Play featuring Moneybagg Yo. So, while YoungBoy was sitting in jail, all of these songs that were being released were picking up heat in the streets, and fans would eagerly await his release. And eventually, to some people's surprise, YoungBoy was actually able to cut a pretty favourable deal with prosecutors, copping to the lesser charge of aggravated assault with a firearm. On August the 22nd, 2017, YoungBoy was sentenced to a term of 10 years suspended prison time and 3 years of active supervised probation, which essentially meant that he was able to get out of jail and return to his music career. But the potential to have to go back and serve a full 10 years in prison would now follow him around for 3 years, along with a probation officer who would be closely supervising his every move going forward. In addition to that, he was also ordered to pay a fine of $5,000 and do 250 hours of supervised community service, which apparently even included doing an anti-violence PSA, which to the disappointment of fans everywhere, never seemed to actually surface publicly. But YoungBoy wouldn't simply waltz out of the courtroom, because apparently during that sentence, he had what was described as a tense but respectful back and forth with District Judge Bonnie Jackson. Apparently during the case, she admonished him for going out with his boys looking for trouble and finding it. But YoungBoy, to his credit, kept his cool during this exchange, taking full responsibility for everything that had gone down in the incident. Judge Jackson went on to say that she didn't care about YoungBoy's celebrity status and suggested that his rap music wasn't helping the high rates of violence in the community that he was coming out of. The judge would tell him directly that the genre of music that he makes has a lot to do with the mindset that people have, suggesting that it normalized violence. Apparently, YoungBoy actually interjected at this point, reminding the judge that nobody had actually died in the incident, with the judge clapping back, saying that he's lucky that he's such a bad aim and that he wasn't facing first-degree murder charges. It's also worth pointing out that the court did hear about how YoungBoy had been trying to make a difference in his community by looking after his mother, buying her a home, and giving out school supplies to local children. The judge would then make a smearing and condescending remark about the fact that YoungBoy had 3 kids at 17 years old. In response to that dig by the judge, YoungBoy promised to do right by his family, and once YoungBoy accepted his plea, he would be released from jail ahead of the actual sentencing, being welcome homed by hotshot rappers like Boosie and Young Dolph. YoungBoy would be seen fresh home on social media, being greeted by his NBA crew, and rocking the same Burberry button-up shirt that he was booked for the crime in.
Say where my new boys at, man? Oh, Montana. What up, Meg, man? What's up, baby? I'm cool, man. Austin, Texas, man. We got to see what the deal is.
Being greeted outside jail by Montana in a white Maybach.
Man, it's the best feeling ever. We got KD right there, we got Davis, we got Max Harden. Man, you know what it is.
YoungBoy was fresh home, and music would be the first thing on his mind. He would be seen filming freestyles in the same outfit and surrounded by his crew and manager Big Dump.
Call 3 years to them. I don't want to chat in the studio with Shade, in the studio with Strange on the grind every day. I've been chasing that sack real 38, baby. I'm from the track.
His first major release since his release would be the biggest song of his career so far, the track Untouchable. This was a big single where YoungBoy spoke optimistically about making it out of the struggle of the Baton Rouge streets and vowing to make the most of this opportunity that he had to make it through music, and declaring his intention to move out of Baton Rouge to Los Angeles, where he would hope that he no longer needs to carry a gun. Untouchable ended up hitting number 95 on the Billboard charts, becoming YoungBoy's first solo single to chart in the United States. By August 2017, YoungBoy was back in the studio, ready to focus on his music career, despite the prying eyes of a probation officer set to be following him for the coming years. So, following the successful release of Untouchable, YoungBoy's team would drop his latest mixtape, AI YoungBoy, on August 4th, 2017, a project which would end up landing at the impressive number 24 on Billboard's 200 album chart. This also included another popular single, the track No Smoke, which surpassed Untouchable and ended up landing at number 61 on Billboard's Hot 100 singles chart. YoungBoy was storming the charts, and
I feel like that time right there is when shit kind of musically, where nigga kind of, how can I explain it? You know, in the track race, a motherfucker start gapping, right? Yeah, gapping. My shit don't focus. Gapping the or like getting a better lead or whatever the case. But just, you know, you seen the advancement right around that time, like, oh, he going. Like, this shit's type shit.
Seemingly attracting the attention of both labels and other rappers. Funnily enough, on the song GG, YoungBoy seemed to suggest that Chicago rapper Lil Durk and his collective had tried to sign him to his crew and record label, OTF, or Only the Family. But YoungBoy would have bigger ideas than signing to another rapper, as only days after YoungBoy's sentencing went public, it would then be announced that he had officially signed to Atlantic Records, in a huge 5-album contract reportedly worth $2 million. And YoungBoy would seemingly celebrate this deal by purchasing a tiger and telling fans that he got paid a big bag.
I'm like, you pay me.
You pay me.
I got that bag, I'm getting paid for everything I do.
So, despite losing his cousin Boozilla and very nearly losing his freedom attempting to get revenge, in the end, YoungBoy would escape a long prison sentence, returning to the music career that was buzzing before he went to jail and taking it to new heights, landing chart positions on Billboard and a multi-million-dollar deal with a major record label. Things were on the up for the NBA crew, but despite the wins they were having in the industry, there would still be tension in the streets, as YoungBoy had a whole host of enemies who would be dissing him while he was locked up, and desperate to see him fall when he was released, with the NBA crew ultimately taking drastic action to protect their star prospect. When YoungBoy began picking up steam as a rapper in Baton Rouge, naturally, he attracted a lot of opposition. After parting ways with former street crew turned label TBG, Top Boy Gorilla, he would find himself at war with their main artists, G Money and Fredo Bang. But they wouldn't be the only enemies that YoungBoy would make in the city. In November 2015, YoungBoy dropped a song called Homicide, a collaboration with another Baton Rouge rapper by the name of Scotty Kane. They would appear together on the song and in the music video, and apparently YoungBoy would become friends with Kane. But later, they had
Bro, why this nigga got this dark winged duck hat on, man? Like, bro, that hat, you know what? 2016 was just different. 2017 was just different.
a falling out, with some suggesting that Kane may have felt slighted by lyrics on his song So Long, where YoungBoy rapped that he blew up in his city and that he was getting views even without the song with Scotty. This was followed by an IG live clip where YoungBoy would rap lyrics saying that someone changed on him. Apparently at some point Scotty Kane caught YoungBoy in a studio and slapped him, later taking to social media to explain his side of the story, saying that YoungBoy had begged him for a verse and after asked him for money for shoes, and saying that he was trying to get close to Scotty Kane's crew because he had fallen out with TBG, with Kane even going as far as to tell YoungBoy if he really has money, then send a hit and kill him.
I'ma address the situation like a man. Your bitch ass rolled my cousin. Y'all came to the studio, he begged me to do the first verse. I did not want to do it. I thought about it. I'm like, well, I'm gonna go ahead and get a chance. I did the verse. Your bitch ass asked me to put some on your shoes. You not with my label, bitch ass, so you. I'm doing what I'm going to have with you on shoes and videos for. It was over there riding TBG. They wanted to raw your ass out. Now your ass come trying to rap mafia music. Now you get on and do all this. You got bread, kill. Drop your bread, man. What the? Don't do all that. Kill me. Come see me. Living like that. But you know me. I'm living like that all day, every day. You know how I'm coming.
In response to this deadly threat from Kane, YoungBoy would reply to this by rapping more lyrics from the song Gravity and showing that he had goons behind him, ready to shoot.
Yeah, and I don't owe nobody but my mama, boy, and my they was doing super honey, boy. Remember, I ain't had nothing to eat, I go steal for it. Show you my bank account, I swear I got 6 figures large. I don't need a hating, probably won't snake me for it. These under the skies, living under the board. I hate these they wasn't made for it. Lord, please don't mistake me, play gon' die, cause I ain't going for it. In this life that I'm living, I pray I make it through the night. As I ride through my city, I'm thinking, looking at the lights.
YoungBoy would appear to address the incident on the song Who You Supposed to Be, admitting that
damn, what song? Nah, he ended up making that a song, huh? I can't remember.
he was sent an address where he pulled up and where he was confronted by 3 people, and seemingly admitting to crying when they pulled out guns on him, but still mocking them for not using the guns, and ending the track seemingly threatening to kill Scotty Kane. Later on, Pablo El Chapo, who had apparently intervened in this incident where guns had been pulled on YoungBoy in a studio, posted a clip to social media seemingly confirming that YoungBoy cried and suggesting that he had saved his life.
But I do know, little young boy, when you pull them rods on your ass, you was crying in that studio. I saved your life. I told my younger man, leave that slide, bro. That crying, man. Crying in front of his manager, man. Slide. He ain't about that gang shit. Y'all asked him to fight, he won't fight. Then when he brought up the gun, we could do it with the gun. Pulled 3 guns in your face, you was crying. Ass boy. Chapo saved.
Kane would actually respond to YoungBoy in a diss track of his own, only days after his cousin Boozilla was gunned down. Scotty Kane would drop the YoungBoy diss track NBA Smoke, produced by prolific TBG producer Austin on the Track. On this track, Kane would return YoungBoy's death threats with threats of his own, as well as saying that somebody killed Boozilla and he didn't do anything about it. Kind of an ironic lyric, considering that a month after this song dropped, YoungBoy would indeed be charged with double attempted murder, attempting to do something about Boozilla. But while YoungBoy was in jail for doing exactly that, Scotty would drop a video on Instagram seemingly distancing himself from this beef.
Hey look man, I'm on the road to success, man. I ain't with none of that. Y'all can have that shit. I ain't with that shit. I ain't trying to kill none of you. I ain't trying to do none of that with none of you, man. Y'all can have that shit. I got kids. I got so much going on good for me, dog. Like, it's a lot happening right now. I ain't with no cop and deuces and nothing. I just ain't with it. Like, I ain't having this shit, dog. Like, too many people that's depending on me, too many people that care about me. I don't need to be doing all this dumb. Like I gotta do this for my kids and my family and everybody else that love me, dog. Like all y'all can have it, man.
When y'all want it, y'all can have it.
And he would go on to say in an interview with Gutter TV that he regretted dropping his death-threatening YoungBoy diss, NBA Smoke.
Like, I ain't gonna lie, even though NBA Smoke did so many views, I regret it. You feel me? Like, I'ma honestly say that. Like, I didn't want to do that, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, it's certain shit that you gotta, I feel like that was my flaw, that song, you feel me? So, y'all is saying that raw and all that, did try to do this and that. I don't even like the song, tell the truth. I hate that. I don't care how many views they got on it, you feel me?
However, the beef would be reignited when YoungBoy returned home from jail. Scotty Kane would post a clip to social media showcasing a long set of both bankrolls and fingernails and saying, "Get your cash, you don't get any money."
Bro, get your cash up, bro. You ain't get no.
This would attract a response from OG3, who posted a picture of YoungBoy with money and a caption saying what Kane was holding ain't half of what YoungBoy's holding. This would apparently prompt a response from Kane, where he said that OG3 was holding his big dog's money. Now, I couldn't actually find that post, but YoungBoy seemingly responded from the back of his Maybach, even dragging his manager Fee Banks into the situation.
I don't know what's wrong with these. Listen to my music, be on my got a free YoungBoy this. Say Fee, man, you better tell him I ain't got no big dogs, man. Everything in my pocket for me. Wrong with these, man. Tripping, boy, get off my. You know what it is.
Apparently, a few months later, Scotty got his chain taken, and YoungBoy would clown him online immediately after the thieves exposed that they had taken his chain.
Boy, I damn gonna take anything off my neck.
However, something else would also happen during this beef that would appear to be much more sinister. A prominent producer for TBG, Austin on the Track, who had made numerous beats for songs made by YoungBoy's biggest rival G Money and Scotty Kane himself, as well as landing credits for Chicago rappers like G Herbo. Austin on the Track was quite literally the person who made the beat for Scotty Kane's NBA YoungBoy diss track NBA Smoke. Well, at around 7 PM on the 10th of August 2017, TBG affiliated producer Austin on the Track, real name Austin Rashad Norwood, was sitting in a car with another person outside the Ardenwood Village apartment complex on North Ardenwood Drive. At this point, somebody turned up and sprayed the car with bullets, after which the suspected shooter fled the scene in a car before crashing and escaping on foot. This would leave the passenger injured and Austin himself dead at the scene. This was a brutal assassination, with investigators being seen examining the bullet-riddled scene. But the body of Austin would even be left in place in the driver's seat of the car, which was towed away from the murder scene, with detectives claiming that the entire car with the body inside it had become a crime scene and would need to be moved with the body to a controlled environment so that they could process all of the DNA evidence. Police would ultimately describe the murder as a suspected robbery, with cops claiming that Austin and his cousin had gone to an address to sell a cell phone that they had advertised online, a situation described on the news as a setup.
A man is shot and killed while trying to sell a phone on North Ardenwood Drive last night.
2 men shot after police say they were lured to the Ardenwood Village apartments in hopes of selling a cell phone to someone they met online. At some point, that transaction taking a dark turn.
While there, the individuals attempted to rob them, shot into the vehicle, striking both victims.
With the victims left for dead inside the car, the suspected shooter allegedly took off. Sergeant Elgin McNeely says for now, it's unclear if whoever pulled the trigger acted alone.
We're just keeping it open-ended and not gonna dictate if it's 1, 2, or 3, 4 different suspects, but as the investigation continues, we'll determine all the individuals that was involved.
Now, as far as I was able to find out, this murder was never solved. And once again, let me make it very clear, there's nothing connecting YoungBoy or the NBA crew to this crime, but it's certainly yet another case of somebody involved closely in the rap scene in Baton Rouge, in this case, the producer of prominent YoungBoy diss tracks, who seemingly wound up losing his life in a brutal gangland-style slaying with the police not.
I got a feeling that ain't got shit to do with the YoungBoy story. Like, you know, basically what I'm saying, I think it's a reach.
None the wiser as to who was responsible. A month after this brutal murder, in September, it was believed that Scotty Kane and YoungBoy would finally squash their beef, after Scotty Kane posted a picture of them together on a FaceTime call, along with a caption suggesting that they were on positive terms and both focused on earning money and success rather than beef. Though it would seem that the NBA crew would eventually have the last laugh, as many years later, Scotty Kane would get a taste of his own medicine. He himself ultimately wound up getting jumped on camera in a studio, just like YoungBoy did. And OG3 would later even be seen on social media with the person who had allegedly jumped Kane. Fortunately for YoungBoy, the Scotty Kane beef would be resolved without anyone losing their life. Sadly, however, not everyone would be so lucky. The most prominent beef that YoungBoy was involved in during his rise to fame was with G Money. Real name Garrett Burton, he was a former friend and a star over at YoungBoy's former label, TBG. YoungBoy's other biggest opposition, Scotty Kane, would release the scathing YoungBoy diss track NBA Smoke just days after YoungBoy's cousin Boozilla got killed. And while YoungBoy ended up in jail on attempted murder charges for attempting to avenge Boozilla, G Money was linking up with YoungBoy's ops and building alliances to diss him. In January 2017, G Money linked up with Pablo El Chapo, one of the people who'd been in the studio when Scotty Kane allegedly stuck up YoungBoy with a gun and made him cry. They would collaborate on a new YoungBoy diss titled WNBA Smoke, where they referred to him as WNBA YoungBoy and dissed him extensively. G Money would rap saying that he will send a blitz to take out YoungBoy and his team for dissing him, as well as warning YoungBoy that he will kill him for beefing with them. G Money also appeared on Scotty Kane's song Ain't Gon' Ride, where G Money rapped how he heard someone dissing him, but he can't kill them because they keep posting on Instagram. When YoungBoy got out of jail, he dropped his AI YoungBoy mixtape, and that included numerous lyrics seemingly responding to G Money, like the track Ride On 'Em, where YoungBoy seemed to say outright that he's not squashing the beef and that he just talked to the devil, as well as saying that the only way the beef is going to end is if G Money gets shot. And he would go on to rap that he's dropping a bag on him and his crew and that they're going to ride on him and smash him. YoungBoy was seemingly letting the whole world know that he was planning to pay to have G Money killed. And throughout the verses, he would make bold claims saying that he's going to get it by any means and that the beef is never getting squashed. He would claim that his rising fame had his rivals mad, and saying that somebody is going to get their head bust for making a diss song about him. YoungBoy would also claim to be the reason that their friend got killed, going on to rap that somebody shot up his grandmother's house with a .22, but his shooters got back and sent the ops a special delivery from YoungBoy. Now, it's unclear exactly who YoungBoy is talking about having had killed here, but it could have something to do with a rumor that members from a TBG affiliated crew called TMH, or Too Many Hitters, shot up YoungBoy's grandmother's house, with TMH32 later denying having shot up YoungBoy's grandmother's house in his song FAN. Anyway, clearly G Money wasn't scared of YoungBoy's counter-threats, so he would decide to turn the disrespect up to a whole new level. On August the 15th, 2017, a sensational interview emerged where G Money seemed to be talking extremely recklessly
when he dropped that song, that y'all know the song. What?
YoungBoy, suggesting that they used to be homies, but pointing the finger at YoungBoy, saying that he started sneak dissing him once he became successful.
So, I mean, do y'all have history? Were y'all ever cool, you know, years prior?
Yeah, that like my little partner, he used to be like my little brother. He stayed with me and everything. Everything was still all good until he started, you know what I'm saying, like doing his own thing, getting him a little buzz, getting a little money. He just got the big head and just started like in it, like the feelings he been feeling probably deep down inside that he was scared to put out. He let that out once he got a name and got from down here.
And then G Money dropped maximum shade by being very disrespectful about YoungBoy's sister and saying that he'd slept with her.
He mad about his sister too, though.
About his sister?
Yeah, I had her a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Initially, G Money and YoungBoy would go back and forth on Instagram, with G Money making a post suggesting that he's not jealous of YoungBoy because he's already rich and living where the white folks live.
I'm living like I'm already rich and I ain't even rich yet. And I'm living with the white folks. What's wrong with these niggas? Don't impress me, man. You hear me? I know real money, man. Don't impress me, man. You hear me? You know what I'm saying? Copycat. The next you see me do, you want to do, but you supposed to be up though.
YoungBoy would reply with his own story, asking G Money why he doesn't like him, and saying that he doesn't like G Money and he's down to beef.
Saying, nigga, what you don't like me or something like that around? I'm saying like, what you got something against me? Say that there, man. Don't be on Instagram that put in 2 different states. You know it real. Stop playing. What you saying? Huh? I'm about beefing. What it is? You hear me? You know what you is. Get it. I don't you, man.
I don't like you. I'm gonna keep on that. I don't like you.
G-Money would reply saying F YoungBoy and he doesn't care if he doesn't like him, going on to accuse him of copying his style by posting pictures with a Mercedes G-Wagon.
Much don't like him, it's not, you know, for you to like, you hear me? You know what I'm saying? Just copping off and I pull up in that wagon, you gonna take a picture by a G-Wagon. Boy, you really my son, stop watching me, man. Oh yeah, get off.
Then, a few days later, G-Money would officially go at YoungBoy on wax with the scathing diss track, Industry. G-Money's diss song Industry called out YoungBoy and the whole NBA crew on a number of bases. It had those lyrics that seemed to hint that YoungBoy had been the one who tipped off G-Money about his cousin Boozilla running off with drugs, and it had more lines seemingly confirming that he had hooked up with YoungBoy's sister, putting maximum disrespect on him. He also dissed YoungBoy for sneak dissing him, and as the title of the song suggested, it dropped shade on YoungBoy for signing a record deal and no longer being in the streets, with G-Money suggesting that after signing this deal, YoungBoy had turned industry. The song also had another important lyric that seemed to confirm rumors that G-Money had actually had a price put on his head. G-Money even mentions YoungBoy's mother, saying he can't kill him because he's Sharonda's son, indicating that G-Money knows YoungBoy's mother well. He also called out 3-3 and Montana from NBA, saying that they don't want beef with him. G-Money also brushed off YoungBoy's earlier suggestion that he could pay to have him killed, saying that he will kill anyone who tries them, ultimately declaring Baton Rouge his city. The music video for Industry also included a Chucky doll, which was actually a reference to an early YoungBoy video called What I Was Taught that dropped way back in September 2016. But G-Money wasn't done there. The following month, he would continue to diss YoungBoy, dropping yet another diss song, this time in a remix to Bodak Yellow, calling YoungBoy a fake and warning him not to mess with TBG, as well as saying that YoungBoy is hating on G over a woman and that he used to be TBG but switched up on the crew. G would also shade YoungBoy for signing to a label, saying that by contrast, he got to where he was without a deal, as well as warning that he would be sending shooters to YoungBoy's home. He would reference the NBA crew, saying that he thinks he's Steph Curry, referring to a player in the actual NBA known for his accurate shooting, and G would end the song saying that somebody tried to kill him but failed and got killed in return. It would seem for a while that YoungBoy just wasn't responding, but G-Money would continue to go at YoungBoy and the NBA crew any chance he got. In a September Instagram live session, he would continue throwing shade at YoungBoy, mentioning that a Baton Rouge rapper got hot and left everyone behind, and saying that YoungBoy is scared of him and his gang.
These tell rappers in Baton Rouge be hating anyway, you hear me? These don't be sticking together down here. So what the fuck I look like getting you? When you do this and do that and do that, you ain't sticking with it. You. All these down here, man. You hear me? Most of these head of man. You see, put your head down, nigga. And I can be by myself and you can be with 1,000, man. Yeah, for real. Yeah. If you ain't with us, you can't hang with my gang. And that's on God. Ain't no banging with the gang. I ain't tripping on no dissing on none of that, you hear me? It's all good. But just remember, was there for now. I ain't never do no fake hating that like us did, you hear me?
G-Money would go on to diss YoungBoy's whole family and say that he's TBG until he dies.
Like on everything I love, man. You, your mama, your brother, your cousin, your auntie, your uncle, whoever. Yeah, TBG Gorilla Gang, TBG till I die.
G would also claim to be respected on YoungBoy's native Chippewa Street, saying that he pulled up with his gun and that people had tried to protect YoungBoy.
I ran on Chippewa, man. You heard me? I'm respected out there. You know what I'm saying? I pulled up out there with a 38 when the whole chopper trying to save a. But I ain't gonna speak on it. You hear me? Way throwback. You hear me? 13, you know. 14, 15, 16. You know, throwback. Damn, man, who got a problem with Young around here? Now Young on the other side. Ain't crazy?
He would also diss YoungBoy's team, saying that everybody in TBG is a boss.
How you be all how he a boss and he got a CEO and all that shit, you hear me? You know, that bullshit. They got run them. Don't nobody run nobody over here. Everybody bosses. Yeah, nothing but bosses over here. Be looking at this because they got money, man. Y'all think real? Make no real, man.
G-Money would even claim that YoungBoy got robbed and stripped and didn't retaliate, with his goons saying YoungBoy won't survive a beef with him.
You ain't do nothing about it. Boy, stripped. You stripped and you ain't do nothing about it. So how you think you could? So how you think you could tell me something? How you think you can go against me? How you think you can do that? You won't survive. Come on.
Clearly, this was a very personal beef, aimed at YoungBoy and his crew. And at this point, both sides have made outright threats declaring their intentions to kill their opposition. Now, it's been speculated that YoungBoy's manager Big Dump might have had something to do with potentially putting a price on G-Money's head. And in September, G-Money would seemingly be posting disses to YoungBoy on social media, all while giving clues as to his own exact location. In one video, G-Money, standing outside, would claim that YoungBoy started rapping and became a killer after he got a record deal.
Say, Lil, you know you ain't living like that, man. You get a deal and you done turn to a killer. When you start doing all that, man, you know you ain't cut like that, man. You know TBG been your muscle, boy. And the same you talking about usually don't live in jail, wherever they at, man. That's the man you ought to move on the city, man. Yeah, you remember Will? Yeah, Will's out there. Yeah,
I remember when that,
you remember you ran out that store, man. You know what's happening with us, man. You hear me, real? And I'm living out shit, you hear me? Everything you got with a deal, I got without a deal, man. You hear me? You know, 30 plus on my with no deal. Yeah, for real. Driving in $100,000 coupes, man. Yeah, with no deal, boy. You better stop playing and stay in your place, son.
If you watch that clip carefully, you can see a window with white bars and black shutters beside it, with the building itself having red brickwork and a black security door. In this clip, G-Money is standing in front of a recording studio at the 1900 block of Dallas Drive that TBG were known to record at. This studio was also featured prominently in the music video for G-Money and Boulevard Quick's song, Set Trippin'.
that boy did some research on me.
And this.
Let me put the headphones back in, cause I don't know if that shit's fucking with the audio or not. That nigga did some research.
Studio is the exact location where G-Money would unfortunately lose his life. On the 10th of September 2017, G-Money would be seen on Instagram at his usual recording studio working on music, seemingly recording a YoungBoy diss song with lyrics where he says that your favorite rapper is a liar. At around 1:30 AM, G-Money would be found shot in front of that very recording studio that he recently went live at. Fat Chapo, who was with him at the time of the shooting, said that G-Money was caught off guard by a shooter as he walked out of the studio.
I was the first out the door. I'm the one called for help. G walked out that door by himself. I told him before he walked out the door, like, he walked out the door on his own. And they start shooting. When they start shooting, I really didn't know what was going on because I heard a boom, but the music was playing, so it was kind of muffled. When as soon as the shooting stopped, I ran out the door. Nobody was I still never saw nobody, and I saw G laying right there on the ground. And once I seen him, all I could do was call 911.
Once police arrived, officers would be seen in the dark, taping off the scene and doing forensic work, and G-Money would end up leaving the scene in a coroner's van, just like the one that he had showed in his music video Industry, where he said that he would put his ops on the news. And the following morning, the news would indeed report on this tragic killing.
Baton Rouge police are looking into a deadly shooting that claimed the life of a local rapper. Police say someone shot and killed 22-year-old Garrett Burton on Dallas Street around 1:20 last night. Burton performed under the name G-Money. Right now, police have not named any suspects or motive. If you can help police or have any tips, you can report them anonymously to Crime Stoppers.
One of G-Money's closest friends and fellow TBG-affiliated rapper Fredo Bang, in a DJ Small Eyes interview, would recount breaking down in jail when he heard the news of G's death.
I just broke down in tears, like you know how a baby cry, and you know how a baby cry just yell. I just sat there and locked up.
Scotty Kane would also react to G-Money's death, even telling followers that he was getting DMs telling him that he would be killed next.
Man, I wake up to every day, man. My partner got killed in the morning. What the oh like that, son? Then it's sad to say, man. Talking about not even 25 yet. Like, come on, man. Like, it ain't that serious, son. Before I let you take me, dog, I'm slinging this. Whoever, whatever, and I don't care who love who, I'm going on my move. Get the on my DM talking about I'm next and all that. Man, I ain't worried about none of that. I ain't worried about none of that. Oh man, when it's my time regardless, but I ain't worried about none of that. Better stop playing with kill y'all, so I do not play by my life at all. I'm gonna step, yeah. I don't give I'm gonna die about it for real,
The day after G Money was killed, it seemed that fans would attend the scene of the murder, filming the location and peculiarly finding a pillow on the ground. The presence of a bloody pillow at the murder scene would end up going viral, sparking a conspiracy theory that G Money's killers threw a pillow on him after the assassination and told him to go to sleep, with these rumors being further fueled by YoungBoy lyrics that came out later, like the song Step On, where he says, "Lay your bed, I throw the pillow, police after all of my people." And even in his recent single Bitch Let's Do It, where he rapped that his crew will creep up on their ops and lay their heads on a pillow, with YoungBoy even doing an impression of a dying G Money laying on a pillow in the music video. However, for the record, this is just a conspiracy theory, and some of the more sensible YoungBoy fans would work out that this pillow was actually used by emergency medical staff that had attended the scene. But setting aside those rumors, once this went down, all eyes were on the NBA crew, but it would take years before the authorities were able to identify any of the people involved. DeAndre Fields, aka Lil Pap, or NBA Pap, actually the brother of NBA Ben 10, aka Ben Fields, who also got arrested for being in the car with YoungBoy in that same incident after Boozilla's death, where YoungBoy ended up getting the 10-year suspended sentence for. Now, Pap was eventually arrested on second-degree murder charges in connection with the murder of G Money, ultimately being bailed around June 2019.
A lot of you are reacting tonight to the arrest of this man, DeAndre Fields. Baton Rouge police say they arrested him years after the shooting death of a local rapper, Garrett Burton. Back in 2017, Burton went by the name of G Money. He was found shot to death in the parking lot on Dallas Drive there. Police arrested DeAndre Fields for second-degree murder.
And initially, Pap would plead not guilty, but some interesting information would eventually be revealed to the police when they interviewed him after the shooting. He actually told police that he had left Baton Rouge with his mother and son, fleeing to nearby New Roads about 40 minutes away from Baton Rouge after G Money was murdered. As well as this, when asked about his whereabouts on the night of September the 10th, 2017, Lil Pap claimed that he drove to Hammond to get gas. When detectives later obtained his phone records, this claim was proven to be false, as his records revealed that he was actually in Baton Rouge on the night of G Money's death. But perhaps the most shocking piece of information that Lil Pap shared with the police, which I can imagine was a huge driving force behind his indictment, is the following. After police asked Pap who among his friends would shoot people for the NBA group, he replied, "To be honest, me." Now, it's worth adding that in YoungBoy's very first album, Life Before Fame, all the way back in 2015, he basically admits that he can call on
He said that? Right.
Pap to carry out what needs to be carried out in the streets on two occasions. Firstly, in the song NBA, and secondly, in the song I Know. Ultimately, Pap would end up pleading out on greatly reduced charges of accessory after the fact of murder and ultimately receiving a sentence of 5 years. Now, interestingly, Pap would go back and forth with the judge during his sentencing, saying that he is taking the deal, but he is 100% innocent. And interestingly, close friend of G Money, TBG rapper Fredo Bang, would later claim in numerous interviews that he did not believe Pap to be G's killer either.
Y'all started sending me that he still sending it to me. I was like, you seen it? You seen it? Yeah, I seen it. Police make arrests. Might be wrong. A man ain't do that. Brown.
Do you know the guy that's being charged? You said that you didn't think the guy that they're charging with the murder actually did it.
G Money's own mother would also post on social media saying they still haven't found the shooter of her son and they're still looking. Whether or not you believe NBA Pap when he says that he had nothing to do with the incident, what is clear is that the NBA crew, and YoungBoy specifically, would have the most to gain from G Money being no longer. And going forward, YoungBoy and other NBA members would reference what happened to G Money in numerous songs and videos. The month after G Money's murder, YoungBoy dropped his 10th project, Ain't Too Long, on October the 7th, 2017. This included a number of references to the G Money situation. Firstly, in the murder anthem Red Rum, where YoungBoy claims that he just raised the murder rate in his city. And then, in the song Pt.1, YoungBoy seems to be talking directly to G Money throughout the song, alluding to the time when they had a friendship that was like a brotherhood before G Money betrayed YoungBoy's trust by sleeping with his sister and boasting about it online. In the same song, and in the same monologue directed at G Money, YoungBoy reveals that G Money introduced him to them boys who he didn't like for nothing. Them boys most likely being a reference to TBG. Before paying homage to his own fallen friends Boozilla and Lil Dave, YoungBoy would seemingly suggest that G Money had blamed him for drugs that went missing, which caused the tension between YoungBoy and his cousin Boozilla. In another song on the project titled War With Us, YoungBoy talks about the sorry state of affairs in Baton Rouge, saying that one particular week he saw 7 murders and that there is no helping his city. This was a bold lyric that painted a picture of a city completely out of control. The war in the Baton Rouge rap scene had gotten deadly, and now one of the most promising artists in that city was in the grave. With YoungBoy free of his main competition, going on to dominate the scene, releasing song after song and mixtape after mixtape, telling heartfelt tales of his first-hand experiences surviving in the trenches of Baton Rouge. But the biggest question remained. Was YoungBoy just a rapper making music about the violent war taking place in his city, or was he really the murder man, running his rap career like a gang kingpin and using his NBA crew as muscle to stop anyone who dared to get in their way? YoungBoy's run from 2015 to the end of 2017 was one of a kind. He dropped 8 solo mixtapes and 1 joint one with Moneybagg Yo, giving fans more music in his formative years than some artists deliver in their entire careers. And this generosity with his art was rewarded by a cult following of loyal fans who fell in love with the music and would always show up for him from here on out. 3 songs on the Billboard Hot 100 and 3 projects on Billboard's 200 albums charts. YoungBoy was flourishing in the music industry since signing his Monster 5 album $2 million deal with Atlantic. But YoungBoy was making murder music all about violence and killing. And before we go any further, I just want to address something. In YoungBoy's songs from 2017 and in numerous tracks that came later in his career, he seemingly claims to have 7 bodies. And despite being considered a mainstream artist making music for respected record labels, the content of his music and his own statements in these songs has led to intense speculation over whether or not YoungBoy has in fact personally killed anyone, or more specifically, more than 7 people, as he claims in many of his songs, with many wondering exactly who these people he claimed to have killed might have been. This is not dissimilar to all of the speculation that has surrounded Chicago drill rapper King Von, who was rumored to have killed at least 7 people, with his name being connected to as many as 11 murders, with an endless collection of tweets and lyrics which saw King Von himself seemingly confessing to playing a role in these specific murders. I personally believe that King Von did indeed kill at least 7 people, and I covered this extensively in my recent video, King Von, Rap's First Serial Killer. But when it comes to YoungBoy, it's much harder to say. After the alleged killer of G Money was revealed to have been an affiliate of the NBA crew, many people thought YoungBoy had directly paid for this hit. YoungBoy has released lyrics before and after G Money's death, suggesting that he was willing to engage in murder for hire, like the track Ride On 'Em, and years later, on his Richest Op album, rapping on the song Dirty Thug, that he just has to pay the fee for his shooters to leave people dead in the street. Also on the track Bitch Let's Do It, where YoungBoy claimed that his gang would creep up and put his ops' heads on pillows. He would also rap that he used his dollars to send hits through the city, and that when this worked, he went on to go crazy with bodies. Also on the track Slimes Go Where I Go, YoungBoy opens his verse confessing that he believes he could get 100 years in jail for the murders he's been involved in. As his career has gone on, more and more fans have theorized as to whether or not YoungBoy has killed, or whether he has at least had people killed. There's even a fan theory that YoungBoy has a child for every person he kills, a theory partly supported by lyrics.
Yep, I'm going to sleep off that one. I am going to sleep off that one. That was some bullshit.
First-hand experiences surviving in the trenches of Baton Rouge. But the biggest question remained. Was YoungBoy just a rapper making music about the violent war taking place in his city, or was he really the murder man, running his rap career like a gang kingpin and using his NBA crew as muscle to stop anyone who dared to get in their way? YoungBoy's run from 2015 to the end of 2017 was one of a kind. He dropped 8 solo mixtapes and 1 joint one with Moneybagg Yo, giving fans more music in his formative years than some artists deliver in their entire careers. And this generosity with his art was rewarded by a cult following of loyal fans who fell in love with the music and would always show up for him from here on out. 3 songs on the Billboard Hot 100 and 3 projects on Billboard's 200 albums charts. YoungBoy was flourishing in the music industry since signing his Monster 5 album $2 million deal with Atlantic. But YoungBoy was making murder music all about violence and killing. And before we go any further, I just want to address something. In YoungBoy's songs from 2017 and in numerous tracks that came later in his career, he seemingly claims to have 7 bodies. And despite being considered a mainstream artist making music for respected record labels, the content of his music and his own statements in these songs has led to intense speculation over whether or not YoungBoy has in fact personally killed anyone, or more specifically, more than 7 people, as he claims in many of his songs, with many wondering exactly who these people he claimed to have killed might have been. This is is not dissimilar to all of the speculation that has surrounded Chicago drill rapper King Von, who was rumored to have killed at least 7 people, with his name being connected to as many as 11 murders, with an endless collection of tweets and lyrics which saw King Von himself seemingly confessing to playing a role in these specific murders. I personally believe that King Von did indeed kill at least...
No, sir. No, sir. We can't start from the beginning. We got to start from right here because I'm already right here in my story. Like in my This is exactly where I'm at in my year. You feel me? Ace? What Ace drop, bro? What Ace drop? And I pull up the nigga channel. It's nothing there. Right? It's nothing there. You know what I'm saying? But why wouldn't he drop a song on his YouTube channel? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that was the proper place to goddamn. It's on Spotify. I'm gonna wait till you drop it on YouTube then.
7 people, and I covered this extensively in my recent video, King
It's
Von,
more like
Rap's
you gonna
first
come with a
serial
video.
killer. But when it comes to YoungBoy, it's much harder to say.
You know what I
After
mean?
the alleged killer of G-Money was revealed to have been an
Right, it's
affiliate
gonna
of
come
the
with
NBA
it's
crew,
more
many
like
people
gonna come
thought
with a
YoungBoy
video.
had directly paid for this hit. YoungBoy has released lyrics before and after G-Money's death, suggesting that he was willing to engage in murder for hire, like the track Ride On 'Em, and years later, on his Richest Op album, rapping on the song Dirty Thug, that he just has to pay the fee for his shooters to leave people dead in the street. Also on the track Bitch Let's Do It, where YoungBoy claimed that his gang would creep up and put his ops head.
I mean, I'm gonna read off the chapters for. So they did the G Money part, the Scotty Kane part, the Boozilla part, how he was raised or the rise or the start. You know what I'm saying? His early childhood and shit like that. But that's like the first 30 minutes of it is, or the first 10 minutes, you get to learn this shit. Like Andy Golden, you know. Hey, look. The nigga was 16, said Andy Golden was my uncle. Robin wasn't my jeans. Catch you later, Snore. All right, buddy. Appreciate you for coming through. Bro could care less, honestly. What? Care less about what?
Heads on pillows. He would also rap that he used his dollars to send hits through the city, and that when this worked, he went on to go crazy with bodies. Also on the track Slimes Go Where I Go, YoungBoy opens his verse confessing that he believes he could get 100 years in jail for the murders he's been involved in. As his career has gone on, more and more fans have theorized as to whether or not YoungBoy has killed, or whether he has at least had people killed. There's even a fan theory that YoungBoy has a child for every person he kills. A theory partly supported by lyrics on a leaked song that didn't end up on the album top, but was circulating in the days leading up to its release. A song apparently titled Soul Stealer, where YoungBoy raps that he has guns with bodies on them and that he's part of a group that he had to kill to join. Even ending the song saying that he's 7 up, but he needs 3 more, and saying that he needs 10 bodies, 10 hats, and 10 mama baby souls. Which, if you consider the fact that he apparently has 10 or 11 kids at this point.
He done did this nigga whole family tree.
Could very well hold water. However, some of the conspiracy theories on exactly who YoungBoy may be referring to when he says he has over 7 bodies do seem like a bit of a stretch. The first person YoungBoy is rumored to have killed or had killed was one of the killers.
The A song is on YouTube. I really just looked it up, bruh. Why the hell we still on this? What the fuck is the song about? Let me see. Bro, that's coming with a video. Oh, okay, yeah, it's definitely coming with a video. Like, come on now, we can wait.
Of YoungBoy's childhood friend Lil Dave, with this speculation being based off a single YoungBoy lyric where he appeared to suggest that he paid for vengeance for Dave after he begun making large sums of money. Years later, on the track F the Industry Part 2 on his album Richest Op, YoungBoy would drop a lyric seemingly confessing to having had to kill somebody at age 16, but it's unclear who this may have been. But on the same song, YoungBoy would also drop a menacing lyric saying that he witnessed somebody beating his mother as a child and that he killed them when he grew up. Whether or not you believe that YoungBoy would be capable of killing somebody, you can't deny the fact that after his cousin Boozilla got killed, he caught a double attempted murder charge whilst personally trying to avenge his cousin. However, as the judge acknowledged, nobody actually did die in this case. G-Money, however, was less lucky, being gunned down after trading public death threats with YoungBoy. And while the actual shooters of G-Money were never found, the conviction of a prominent NBA member on accessory charges firmly pointed the finger at the NBA camp. The next alleged killing is a rumor that's heavily debated amongst YoungBoy fans. An unreleased YoungBoy song called Money Man has been circulating on YouTube, Reddit, and SoundCloud for a number of years. The song isn't listed on lyric breakdown sites like Genius.com, but the track itself does include some outrageous lyrics that have gone viral numerous times on.
Fun fact, shout out YB grandmama house and YB retaliated back by shooting his car up with his girl inside. His girl killed her.
Reddit, particularly lyrics that seem to suggest that YoungBoy killed a rival gang member's girlfriend in retaliation for his grandmother's house being shot up. This all relates to a feud with another set of Baton Rouge street hitters called TMH, or Too Many Hitters. The story goes that somebody from TMH shot up YoungBoy's grandmother's house. However, TMH32 would later deny this shooting in lyrics on his song FAN. But according to lyrics from YoungBoy's song Money Man, another person from TMH by the name of Hammer was actually targeted in a shooting, which unfortunately ended up claiming the life of his girlfriend. Now, while this is just a lyric and an unreleased freestyle, YoungBoy fans on Reddit have desperately tried to solve this crime, with one theory suggesting that the victim was a 19-year-old woman by the name of Ernisha Barnes. The news would go on to report on the shooting, suggesting that she was a passenger in a car hit by accident whilst the shooting targeted the driver.
We also have now learned the identity and the name of that 19-year-old woman. Police tell us that it was about 10:15 last night when an unknown suspect in a red Chevy Trailblazer fired several shots into a car with 19-year-old Ernisha Barnes sitting in the passenger seat. It happened near Gus Young and 48th Street. We're told that Barnes was actually taken to a local hospital where she later died.
Barnes died of a gunshot wound to the stomach after police say a suspect traveling in a red Chevy Trailblazer.
Nigga, since when you can order Little Debbie's off Uber Eats? Save this live, my boy. I'm gonna make sure it's published, but I got the video dropping tomorrow. You want to see that? Or you want to see just a live period? Because we was
Fired
here
into the car she was a passenger in. Several sources said 2 other people were in the car at the time. It is believed that one of them, Ernisha's best friend, was the intended target.
No one would ever think suspect or imagine something like that happening to them, you know, they child, you know.
However, despite fan theories that YoungBoy was in fact responsible for this tragic murder, later on, 2 completely unrelated people would be taken into custody for this shooting, with it being claimed that the shootout stemmed from an argument and that the shooter was targeting the driver of the vehicle Barnes was in. Donnie Spencer was charged with first-degree murder for the shooting, despite publicly claiming to be innocent, and Ashley Taylor was charged with attempted second-degree murder and illegal use of a weapon for apparent. Theory suggesting that the victim was a 19-year-old woman by the name of Ernisha Barnes. The news would go on to report on the shooting, suggesting that she was a passenger in a car hit by accident whilst the shooting targeted the driver.
We also have now learned the identity and the name of that 19-year-old woman. Police tell us that it was about 10:15 last night when an unknown suspect in a red Chevy Trailblazer fired several shots into a car with 19-year-old Ernisha Barnes sitting in the passenger seat. It happened near Gus Young and 48th Street. We're told that Barnes was actually taken to a local hospital where she later died.
Barnes died of a gunshot wound to the stomach after police say a suspect traveling in a red Chevy Trailblazer fired into the car she was a passenger in. Several sources said 2 other people were in the car at the time. It is believed that one of them, Ernisha's best friend, was the intended target.
No one would ever think suspect or imagine something like that happening to them, you know, they child, you know.
However, despite fan theories that YoungBoy was in fact responsible for this tragic murder, later on, two completely unrelated people would be taken into custody for this shooting, with it being claimed that the shootout stemmed from an argument and that the shooter was targeting the driver of the vehicle Barnes was in. Donnie Spencer was charged with first-degree murder for the shooting, despite publicly claiming to be innocent, and Ashley Taylor was charged with attempted second-degree murder and illegal use of a weapon, for apparently shooting at a woman in the same spot just minutes before this fatal drive-by, with cops claiming that the two shootings were connected and that both shootings stemmed from an ongoing argument.
Scotty Hunter tonight with the key thing that helped police make a very quick arrest.
The man accused of carrying out this year's record-breaking murder in Baton Rouge, 27-year-old Donnie Spencer, is behind bars tonight. As he was loaded off to prison, he had nothing to say.
That nigga look every bit of 40. That nigga look every bit of 93. God! Dang!
Except one thing. Innocent. Spencer is charged with first-degree murder and attempted
that
first-degree
video
murder
dropped at
after allegedly
noon. That video dropped at noon tomorrow. I'm waiting for the... Yeah,
gunning down 19-year-old mother Ernisha Barnes last Thursday in a drive-by shooting on Gus Young at 48th. His information put out on Friday. Roughly 72 hours later, he was picked up today by the U.S. Marshals Task Force.
Now, the rumor that YoungBoy was involved in this murder has been widely considered to have been debunked, as Donnie Spencer would eventually be sentenced to 22 years for this murder. However, that hasn't stopped rabid YoungBoy fans from continuing to spread the rumor that the person who took the charge was actually just doing it on behalf of YoungBoy to take the fall, since he'd maintained his innocence during proceedings. And this rumor's been kept alive by yet more ambiguous YoungBoy lyrics that seem to mention a woman being killed in the crossfire. YoungBoy seemed to mention a similar situation in an unreleased song called Stay in Your Lane, rapping about how she got killed outside a corner store, seemingly a reference to the location of the killing of Barnes. And later, YoungBoy rapped in the song Murder Man, thought it was him, it was his bitch. Let me tell you how that go, I'm the murder man. And even more recently on his 2023 album Richest Op, where he rapped on the song I Heard that someone got swerved on with his girl, she got hit, and all he heard was her last breath. Now, despite the fact that this particular murder has been solved with a suspect who was sentenced for the murder, fans would continue to be desperate to try and link YoungBoy to specific murders going forward, and YoungBoy himself would appear to be happy to contribute to these conspiracies. Throughout his career, he's continued to make supposed murder anthems. Murder songs are essentially a subgenre of YoungBoy songs, primarily where he raps all about these supposed murders and assassinations that he may or may not be responsible for, and repeatedly referring to himself in these songs as a gravedigger or the murder man, and claiming to be doing his Murder Man dance to these songs, with YoungBoy fans even rabidly creating playlists of what they feel are his best murder songs, and ranking which murder anthem is the best for spinning on ops, with it generally being considered that YoungBoy's top murder anthem is Dead Trolls, the track which appeared to foreshadow King Von's death.
Bruh, I'm working on this project, bruh. Y'all gonna love it too. Y'all gonna love that bitch. Y'all gonna love it, bruh. I'm working on this project, bruh. I need it.
To spread the rumor that the person who took the charge was actually just doing it on behalf of a YoungBoy to take the fall, since he'd maintained his innocence during proceedings. And this rumor's been kept alive by yet more ambiguous YoungBoy lyrics that seem to mention a woman being killed in the crossfire. YoungBoy seemed to mention a similar situation in an unreleased song called Stay in Your Lane, rapping about how she got killed outside a corner store, seemingly a reference to the location of the killing of Barnes. And later, YoungBoy rapped in the song Murder Man, thought it was him, it was his bitch. Let me tell you how that go, I'm the murder man. And even more recently on his 2023 album Richest Op, where he rapped on the song I Heard that someone got swerved on with his girl, she got hit, and all he heard was her last breath. Now, despite the fact
I like the album. It's more hits than misses. Turks and Caicos is the one I really didn't fuck with, but everything else is pretty cool or my shit type shit. You know what I'm saying?
That this particular murder has been solved with a suspect who was sentenced for the murder, fans would continue to be desperate to try and link YoungBoy to specific murders going forward, and YoungBoy himself would appear to be happy to contribute to these conspiracies. Throughout his career, he's continued to make supposed murder anthems. Murder songs are essentially a subgenre of YoungBoy songs, primarily where he raps all about these supposed murders and assassinations that he may or may not be responsible for, and repeatedly referring to himself in these songs as a gravedigger or the murder man, and claiming to be doing his Murder Man dance to these songs, with YoungBoy fans even rabidly creating playlists of what they feel are his best murder songs, and ranking which murder anthem is the best for spinning on ops, with it generally being considered that YoungBoy's top murder anthem is Dead Trolls, the track which appeared to foreshadow King Von's death, a song where YoungBoy actually raps 7 murders in my hometown, tell them I did that. Naturally, with all of this violent content in the music, and even more real-life violence playing out on the streets of Baton Rouge, it's perhaps not surprising that big corporate entities would be scared to be associated with YoungBoy, the self-proclaimed murder man. But despite Atlantic Records being willing to put their public support behind YoungBoy in the form of a multi-million-dollar record deal, others would be desperate to distance themselves from the violent content of his music. And it's worth noting that a little while after signing his record deal in 2017, YoungBoy quietly changed his official name from NBA YoungBoy to YoungBoy Never Broke Again. Apparently this was a tactical maneuver carried out to avoid a potentially costly and damaging copyright dispute with the real NBA, the National Basketball Association. The initials NBA are trademarked and intellectual property of the National Basketball Association. And ironically, had YoungBoy kept using NBA in his name, he very well could have ended up getting sued and ended up very much broke again. With the National Basketball Association generally being a bit more of a family-friendly business that likely don't want to be associated with the sort of street activity that YoungBoy's NBA are into. Unless your name's Ja Morant, of course, but we'll get into that later. Anyway, after resolving his name change and avoiding a potentially costly legal dispute with the other NBA, and after the murder of his biggest rival in the Baton Rouge rap scene, G Money, YoungBoy, with the support of his label, would launch into a huge promotional campaign for his next project, setting the stage for YoungBoy to have a meteoric 2018, which saw him break into the mainstream music conversation. In January 2018, he released his big commercial single, Outside Today. The song itself was interesting thematically, and perhaps foreshadows YoungBoy's constant subjugation to house arrest. Only in this song, he says that he's staying inside to avoid the paparazzi and all the attention that has come from his newfound fame. The song wasn't short of gangster content either. Elsewhere in the hook, he rapped that he would still do a drive-by in his Rolls Royce Wraith. YoungBoy goes on to make a pretty bold and shocking claim, stating that if you want to join NBA, you need to have caught a body, along with other lyrics where he claims to jump out and shoot at people's houses, describing the exact scenario where he caught 2 attempted murder charges after the murder of Boozilla. He follows that up with a lyric claiming to always be telling the truth and never capping in his lyrics, a bold claim which is followed up by another ominous lyric where he claims to shoot his ops and their women. Another lyric which is eerily similar to the rumoured shooting of an innocent woman that we discussed earlier on. Now, the music video for the song makes a big statement about where YoungBoy's life was at this point in his career. In the music video, YoungBoy's girlfriend at the time, Jania, can be seen trying to avoid a group of paparazzi asking questions as she enters his home. YoungBoy would rap his verses for this song in an opulent mansion, along with a cameo from Louisiana's #1 stunner himself, Birdman, the legendary New Orleans record exec and rapper of Cash Money fame. The red-themed video, along with the presence of Birdman, one of hip-hop's most famous Blood Gang members, appeared to be a subtle hint at YoungBoy's ongoing connections to the Blood Gang, as can also be heard in their 2018 collaboration, We Poppin'. And YoungBoy and Birdman would maintain a close relationship going forward, and they would even eventually create a joint mixtape together with a strong Louisiana theme titled From the Bayou. Birdman would also be one of the very first people in the industry to see YoungBoy's full potential, predicting in a 2018 interview just days before Outside Today released that YoungBoy would be the biggest young superstar that the rap game had ever heard of.
I think he the next biggest young superstar the game they never had. Talent-wise, he's an animal. He's a monster. I had the pleasure of being around him and see how he worked, watch how he worked. I think he's gonna be the next biggest superstar in the world. As the youngsters.
Birdman was spot on, and that single Outside Today ended up becoming YoungBoy's breakout hit, landing on the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart at number 31. The song Outside Today would actually be the lead single for YoungBoy's debut studio album, titled Until Death Call My Name, which was released on April the 27th, 2018. This project was a resounding success for YoungBoy, peaking at number 7 on the Billboard 200 albums chart, his highest performing project at the time, and his first top 10 Billboard hit. And the project also included the song Genie, his most viewed solo hit, which today sits at over 380 million views on YouTube. The project itself was laced with interesting and introspective lyrics where YoungBoy painted a picture of the dark life he was living. The song Preach has lyrics where YoungBoy talks about how he often thinks about his dead homies, and we hear YoungBoy reflecting on the state of his mental health as he speaks on how he masks his pain every morning with a smile. The album also references members of his NBA team as shooters like Baby Joe in the first song Solar Eclipse, and secondly in the song Right or Wrong, where he says Baby Joe will put that Draco to people's back or heads. And in the song Solar Eclipse, YoungBoy also reveals that he keeps a firearm even when performing on stage. Elsewhere in the song, he pays homage to legend of Chicago drill music Chief Keef, saying that he's killing like the Grim Reaper and drilling like Chief Keef. An ironic line, given the eventual beef between NBA and Chicago rappers a few years down the line. But at this point, YoungBoy had truly arrived in the rap game, a top 10 charting artist with the whole power of the music industry behind him, despite the violent content behind his lyrics. But unfortunately for YoungBoy, despite his success as a rapper, his past in the streets would indeed catch up with him and his team, and soon he would end up losing one of the people closest to him, his close friend and manager, Big Dump. YoungBoy had a wildly successful start to 2018 after releasing his debut album Until Death Call My Name, and one man who no doubt played a major role in securing these major career wins was his close friend.
For you to believe that I ain't gonna... We know majority of this shit already. You know what I'm saying? We already know majority of the shit. It's just shit. It's our documentary that people wanted me to watch. I got you.
Friend and manager, Desmond Dump Hardnett, nicknamed Dump because he apparently loved to play with dump trucks as a child. He grew up and became a key man in YoungBoy's operation, and they would foster a close personal friendship during YoungBoy's come-up, with that close friendship ultimately making the loss of Dump a devastating tragedy for YoungBoy. On May the 4th, 2018, just before 6 PM, Big Dump was apparently standing on Nairn Street outside his uncle's house next to his childhood home, when a car pulled up and somebody opened fire on Dump and a woman he was standing with. Baton Rouge police officers responded to a report of a drive-by shooting. When they arrived, they found Dump and a woman suffering from gunshot wounds. They would both be taken to the hospital, but sadly Dump would pass away.
Baton Rouge police say 29-year-old Desmond Hardnett died last night from his injuries. Police say Hardnett and a 32-year-old woman were both shot during a drive-by shooting yesterday afternoon. That happened near the corner of Nairn and Baywell. We're told the woman's injuries are not expected to be life-threatening.
Within a few days of Dump's murder, local news outlets would begin reporting on his connection to YoungBoy and the NBA crew. Many years later, Lil Dump, Big Dump's nephew, would even return to the location of the murder, explaining in a vlog exactly how that day went down.
What the business is, Lil Dump. I'm running it about my life and how I grew up. Let's get it. My uncle Dump died on this street I grew up on. My uncle died by himself with nobody around, you feel what I'm saying? Like, no homeboys, no none of that shit. My uncle died at this house. Basically, he ran from here to there, under my uncle's driveway. That's how it happened.
Naturally, YoungBoy would be heartbroken after the loss of Dump, and in the years following Dump's death, YoungBoy memorialized his fallen brother in numerous songs, like in his September 2018 track, R.I.P. Dump, a heartfelt tribute to his fallen manager, a song that was part of YoungBoy's 4-track EP, For Loyalty. On the song R.I.P. Dump, YoungBoy expresses his sorrow and sadness at losing his right-hand man, and seemingly vowing revenge, saying that he has killers backing him up, as well as hinting towards a certain deceased op, rapping that somebody else can't diss because they're dead now. YoungBoy would continue to pay homage to Dump in his music for years to come. He would also drop the 2022 track Letter to Big Dump, a track that was written in the perspective of YoungBoy writing a letter to Dump in the afterlife, updating him on all the progress that he had made since Dump passed away. It would also include a lyric where YoungBoy claimed to have had a conversation with the person who put a hit on Dump, with Fredo Bang confirming in a Vlad TV interview in 2023 that he did indeed have a phone call with YoungBoy.
Did the two of you get on the phone together?
We talked.
Clearly, YoungBoy knew who was responsible, and it didn't take long for people to begin making theories of their own. Following this tragic incident, many people began to point the finger at TBG, with the main names involved in TBG at this point being Fredo Bang, Lit Yoshi, and Boulevard Quick. And as time went on, there would be numerous lyrics coming out of the TBG Records camp that hinted towards the group having had something to do with the murder of Dump. Fredo Bang was particularly hurt by the loss of his friend G Money, explaining to DJ Small's Eyes in an interview that he broke down in tears in jail when he heard the news of G's death. Fredo Bang was incarcerated on a 2016 attempted murder charge at the time of G Money's death.
They had a shooting by the studio, man. G got killed. So I'm like, man, I ain't trying to hear out. You know what I'm saying? Hang up in his face. I dropped the phone. I just broke down in tears, like you know how a baby crying in front of 120 grown men, you know what I'm saying, in a real war zone.
And he would go on to publicly blame himself for G Money's murder, suggesting that had he been free, G might still be alive today, as well as saying in an interview that G Money was supposed to leave Baton Rouge, but he had waited around because he knew Fredo Bang was due to get out of jail soon.
The only reason G was in Baton Rouge was because he was waiting on me. I was supposed to get released that week.
Ironically, Fredo Bang caught his charges back in 2016 before the beef between YoungBoy and G-Money had escalated, and Fredo would even later claim in interviews that he was cool with NBA when he went to jail, and that he didn't even realize that they were in a serious beef until G-Money had died. A month after Dump's death, Fredo Bang would be a free man, and he would release a tribute song to his fallen friend G-Money titled Father, where Fredo would be seen in the video visiting G-Money's grave. As well as being a tribute to mourn the loss of G-Money, Fredo Bang would also drop hints in the song alluding to revenge, at one point hinting towards having placed a hit on someone from jail, and ending his second verse saying that now G-Money is dead, he will have to sin again. But Fredo's lyrics merely hinted at revenge for what had happened to G. However, other, more disrespectful songs would be released not long after, sending suspicion through the roof. Fredo Bang and Boulevard.
Irks, shout out for the gift, bro. I appreciate that shit. I appreciate that shit, bro. Irks gifted 5, bro. I ain't miss it. Yeah, we already did the
Quick had a song called Body Bag, which released just 2 months after Dump's death, and in the music video, Fredo Bang was seen swinging around another Chucky doll. This is a reference to G-Money's music video industry, which itself was a reference to YoungBoy's video What I Was Taught, something that signals to me a very personal message from Fredo Bang that all of these videos are connected. But beyond the visuals, the lyrics to Body Bag painted a shocking picture. Fredo would rap that they pull up on ops and dump the whole clip, and that TBG stretch people. The track had lyrics that said they put someone's homie in a box for dropping knots, i.e. spending money to place hits, and saying that they caught him outside the house, which describes the circumstances of Dump's murder. Boulevard Quick would again reference Dump, apparently running from the shooters, saying, "I heard he tripped over his shoelaces," and Fredo would seemingly call out Yoshi and Quick as shooters. Boulevard Quick even claimed to be shooting people from the window of cars, and that would be followed by Boulevard Quick's song And One, which also prominently featured a Chucky doll again. And in that song, Quick would rap that he would have died for G-Money and telling YoungBoy to go dig his friend up, as well as dissing YoungBoy, saying that he went to jail for attempted murder without even shooting anyone. After that, another Fredo Bang song called Lot of Smoke dropped, and in this song, he would rap that he put someone on their back and that he's smoking on a fat man and that he's not dumping the ashes, as well as going on to rap, "I killed your partner, I ain't sorry." In January 2019, Fredo Bang would release a tribute song to his friend YNW Melly called Free Melvin, and in this song, he would seemingly name Boulevard Quick as his shooter and saying that he committed murder after murder, as well as lyrics where he claims that his friend caught a body and Fredo thanked him, going on to say that they were dumping clips and Free Boulevard, seemingly painting a picture of Boulevard Quick as indeed being Dump's killer. In September 2019, TBG rapper Lit Yoshi would also release a track called Blasting, which came with lyrics about walking people down in their own hood and making ops run but still leaving them slumped and shooting them with 7.62 bullets. Yoshi would also later release and delete a track called Chase Down, where he appeared to describe the circumstances of Dump being shot whilst with a woman who was screaming as he ran, and continuing to describe the scene where he claims to have personally chased someone down and left him face down, as well as claiming the whole city are against him and that he's always going to dump or shoot, and claiming to even have a $150,000 bounty on his head, but he's not scared and he's still making his ops run. One particular standout lyric was from his song Drake's, where he says he put it on that truck, an obvious reference to Dump. Lit Yoshi would also release his new song Runts, named after the popular brand of Mary Jane, on 4/20/2020, and in that song he would rap that he's smoking on that truck while standing on what looked like a large dump truck, as well as dropping lyrics where he claimed that he'd catch ops in their own hood and shoot them.
I don't know what the fuck going on, bruh. I don't know what the fuck they got going, bruh. What the fuck? God damn.
And repeating the ad-lib "dump dump dump," which he censored on the music video version of the song. However, uncensored versions of this track do still circulate on YouTube. And in the verses, seemingly addressing YoungBoy directly, he would rap that he hit someone's partner up, and claiming that when bullets get to flying, people start running while he's coming, gunning, and dumping. Even in a 2021 interview with DJ Vlad, when asked about Dump, Fredo Bang seems to beam an enormous smile across his face before catching himself and then pretending to not know who Dump is at all.
This guy named Dump ended up getting killed in May 2018?
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
I ain't never heard of him.
Okay.
Dump's murder was never officially solved.
This nigga must be stopped, bruh. Bruh. Let's take it back, bruh.
He's coming, gunning, and dumping. Even in a 2021 interview with DJ Vlad, when asked about Dump, Fredo Bang seems to beam an enormous smile across his face before catching himself and then pretending to not know who Dump is at all.
This guy named Dump ended up getting killed in May 2018?
Yeah.
Why we see your teeth, bruh?
Do you know who that is?
Nah, that just blew it, bro. That just got it. That just got it, brother. Bruh. Hold on. Run it back, bro.
Ended up getting killed in May 2018?
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
I ain't never heard of him.
Okay.
Dump's murder was never officially solved, but the music painted a clear picture of who had the most to gain from Dump's death. And as time went on, more of those people would continue to make songs and social media posts mocking Dump's death and antagonizing the NBA crew. And so, perhaps unsurprisingly, it was only a matter of months before a deadly retaliation would take place, leaving one of those individuals who had mocked Dump's untimely demise facing the exact same fate. By summer 2018, the Baton Rouge rap scene was in the grips of a violent gang war between numerous factions.
The breakfast sampler from IHOP. Yeah. Or go ahead in the stream so I can watch the ride wave.
The 2016 murder of NBA YoungBoy's cousin Boozilla was just the first in a chain of deadly shootings that would claim the lives of members on both sides. After narrowly beating 2 attempted murder charges trying to avenge his cousin, YoungBoy would ultimately remain free to pursue his music career, but the NBA members backing him would seemingly continue to wage war against his rivals in the streets. The September 2017 murder of former friend turned rap rival G Money would see his friends from his crew TBG looking to avenge him, and ultimately that revenge would come in the form of the murder of YoungBoy's close friend and manager, Big Dump, in May 2018. But the violence would be far from over. Before Boozilla was killed, he had released a song called Forgive Me, where he dissed another local rapper by the name of FL Deucer. Boozilla would be killed soon after, and that music video would be flooded with comments suggesting that Deucer had something to do with his death. On June 3rd, 2018, violence would reignite once again on Kentucky Street, which is interestingly the very street that YoungBoy and his NBA affiliates shot up in retaliation for Boozilla's murder. And it would be here that FL Deucer, along with 2 other gunmen, would be involved in a shootout on 2000 Kentucky Street. According to the police, one person was shot 3 times in the back, and another was hit in the arm and leg, with cops finding 27 shell casings in the street. Reportedly, one of the victims was BBGD, who was shot in the back, and according to a news article, one of the victims even identified the shooter as FL Deucer, as well as another person who was not initially.
Hold on. Motherfucking. The center stack pancakes. You get off DoorDash.
Would see his friends from his crew
Boy, go.
TBG looking to avenge him, and ultimately that revenge would come in the form of the murder of YoungBoy's close friend and manager, Big Dump, in May 2018. But the violence would be far from over. Before Boozilla was killed, he had released a song called Forgive Me, where he dissed another local rapper by the name of FL Deucer. Boozilla would be killed soon after, and that music video would be flooded with comments suggesting that Deucer had something to do with his death. On June 3rd, 2018, violence would reignite once again on Kentucky Street, which is interestingly the very street that YoungBoy and his NBA affiliates shot up in retaliation for Boozilla's murder. And it would be here that FL Dusser, along with 2 other gunmen, would be involved in a shootout on 2000 Kentucky Street. According to the police, one person was shot 3 times in the back, and another was hit in the arm and leg, with cops finding 27 shell casings in the street. Reportedly, one of the victims was BBGD, who was shot in the back. And according to a news article, one of the victims even identified the shooter as FL Dusser, as well as another person who was not initially named, but later confirmed to have been taken into custody. Rumours would later circulate that BBGD had cooperated with authorities to identify Dusser as the shooter, partly due to TBG rapper Lit Yoshi seemingly telling fans that Dusser was doing 5 years due to NBA members ratting on him. And he denied wanting to beef with NBA members, saying that they will rat on people, ultimately telling them to slide for Boozilla.
I don't want to go to jail. Some boys, free Dusser. Dusser already doing 5 years. I don't want to go to jail. I don't want no smoke with no BBG. All of my boys. So y'all stop saying that like I'm beefing with them boys. I'm not. I don't want no smoke with none of them. I'm scared of them. They're in your life. They'll have you facing time. I'm scared of them boys. They're my boys. I love them. I don't want no beef with them. Better start sliding for their own people that's dead. R.P. Boozilla.
Yoshi would go on to insult YoungBoy and the NBA crew, suggesting that when someone dies, the whole NBA gang claim responsibility for that one body, likely a reference to G Money.
Somebody died, the whole city will rep on one body. That's crazy. If somebody died, the whole city will get on Instagram and rep on it, and ain't got nothing to do with it. These crazy.
But it wasn't just Lit Yoshi showing public disrespect to the NBA crew. Boulevard Quick also called out NBA members for allegedly snitching on Dusser and claimed that YoungBoy was too scared to live in Baton Rouge.
You know the real. You told on Dusser, got the man in penitentiary, and you told the people you couldn't live down here, so y'all relocated to California.
Off social media, Boulevard Quick was continuing to diss the NBA crew in his music. He would release a remix to YoungBoy's own song War With Us in June 2018, calling it a G-mix in tribute to G Money, and once again including a Chucky doll in the music video, as both YoungBoy, G Money, and Fredo Bang had all done in previous diss songs and their music videos. It featured an intro that showed people pulling up to YoungBoy's...
Chucky, bro. I never fucked with Chucky. For sure, been watching since 2018. Sassy. That's what. Okay, Sasso. I appreciate the sub, bro.
Street on 38th and Chippewa and shooting someone, as well as numerous lyrics providing an insight into the ongoing tension between these two groups, rapping that word around town is that he's going to get killed, but he's not hiding, and that he's still sliding trying to kill ops. A couple of months later, on the 2nd of August 2018, Boulevard Quick released a bold music video for his new song Never Lackin'. The track was a boastful diss to his ops, where he invited them to pull up on him, and he claimed that they will never catch him lacking because he's always armed. He would also rap that people are claiming to be putting money on his head, but he's not scared. And the song would end with a rant where Quick would taunt his ops, claiming that despite them putting up money to have him killed, he's still alive and breathing.
You dropped the bag? Well, I'm still breathing. I got breath in my body. Fake ass boy.
A little while after this, a preview of a YoungBoy song would circulate, where YoungBoy dissed G Money and threatened to shoot someone like the last gorilla, a reference to their crew, Top Boy Gorillas, TBG, with Quick reacting to this snippet after a wave of people tagged him, saying everybody YoungBoy knows, including his mother and father, are hoes.
I tagged me and all. You see this here? I cut that up. Your mama's, your dad is, everybody you roll with.
But Quick wasn't done there. He would also be seen on social media telling a story about OG33, saying that he beat him up in jail and that 3 requested protection from him and Fredo Bang.
3 in the dorm with me. He had just came to the dorm that night. That morning, I walked up to his bed, woke him up, punched him in his shit, stomped him out. He shit on himself and told and checked out. Told the people he cannot be around me or Fredo Bang. Yeah, that was 3 said. He cannot live around me or Fredo Bang.
Clearly, YoungBoy wasn't discouraged by the beef or the threats. and in September 2018, he would have the successful release of his latest project, Decided, landing at 41 on the Billboard 200. However, the tension really escalated when YoungBoy's mother Sharonda came into the picture. She would appear on IG Live in October 2018 and begun responding to death threats in the comments, telling viewers that she keeps a big gun under her bed. As the live went on, somebody would comment that Fredo Bang and Boulevard Quick want to get YoungBoy, prompting Sharonda to say F both of them.
Let me see. Fredo Bang and Quick wants to get YoungBoy. Fredo Bang and Boulevard slow.
To which Boulevard Quick responded with a vulgar and unfiltered rant on his Instagram, saying F YoungBoy's mum and saying she looks like a man.
Boy, mom, tell me about that.
I ain't gonna lie, beef with that nigga mama crazy, bro. That's crazy. I'm just saying. Swifty, shout out for the bitch. Bro, gifted again. I gotta turn my sound back on, man. I can't be missing y'all shit, man. Hold on. Let me turn my. But shout out for the gifted, Unks 3RO. Shout out for the gifted. Shout out for the bitch too, Swifty. I appreciate all y'all. But
eat a big long. I'm talking about so long that.
And I ain't saying nobody's wrong in this
dream
situation.
about
I'm just
making.
saying beef with a nigga mama's crazy.
Yeah, man. That bitch can get out my bitch can say what she wants to say about me. She hollering me, bitch. You look like a man though. Bitch, you look like a punk. Talking about me, bitch. I ain't Fredo, bitch. I speaks on everything. Boy, that nigga mama. Bitch, play with me first. That hoe.
Sharonda then jumped on live once more to respond, mocking Boulevard Quick, joking that she was sorry that she'd made him cry, and saying that he's fat.
I had woke up this morning, everybody in my earbuds talking about the little boy, Boulevard Quick was talking about me. But I really got on him to tell him that I'm sorry. I came to tell little Boulevard Quick that I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I made you cry, boo. I'm for real. Cause I wasn't being mean. Like somebody was on my thing, like I'm reading now, and somebody said, somebody hit me, he's his friend. So I said, his friend. Cause I'm like, I feel like anybody that don't like my churn, and that's how I am. If you don't like my churn, y'all. I wasn't being mean or mess or nothing. And then I saw him on fucking Instagram, YouTube, whatever, crying yesterday about, his mama put my name in her mouth, and that's up, and I swear to God, man, she better keep my name out her mouth. I'm sorry, boo. I'm sorry I put your name in your mouth, because I saw you crying. She looked like a man. She ugly. She got man features. I'm sorry, boo. I'm sorry for talking about you, because you look like a ball. You got round features, boo. I'm sorry. She want to be a comedian so bad. Bitch, you want to be a rapper so bad. I'm sorry I made you.
Bro, Irks, bro, with another 5 gifted, bro. What's going on, bro? Appreciate you, gang. I appreciate you, bro. It is out the blue, too. I appreciate the gift. That's like 15 on the night, bro. It's like 15, I believe so.
You cry for real. I don't know you, boo. I don't. I'm sorry. I was just saying, whoever don't like my churn. I wasn't just saying, trying to be mean or messy. They be on my thing, talking about you, saying you said this and that, and so that's why I said, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure you just said us plenty of days. I ain't trying to be mean. I wasn't trying to be mean, like for real though. Like for real, I'm a mama. Anybody that don't like my churn, if anybody who don't like me, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you personally, because I don't know you. I do not know you. So go ahead and, I said I'm sorry on live in front of everybody. So now you can go back to a grocery store and make you some more little videos.
Boulevard Quick would respond once again, saying that it was YoungBoy's mother who started it by dissing him and his friends.
You sure got some manly features on your mother, man. Stupid. Like a whole game playing with a shit. Yeah, man, now people gotta say, I spoke on, I did that, I can't take that back. Tell my name out of mouth. And keep my partner name out of mouth. We talking about I gotta diss people for fame. I ain't dissing no fame. Mama came for me. Talking about Fredo Bang, Boulevard slow.
And after this, YoungBoy himself spoke on the matter in live, warning Boulevard Quick that this internet beef will end with him having the last laugh, and saying that his ops are going to either die, go broke, or go to jail.
This internet alone. I hope y'all stupid know that. This internet alone. Bitch, y'all finna be assed out. All y'all fake ass trappers, rappers, gunslingers, strippers, Instamops. Bitch, y'all finna be assed out. Bitch, this ain't lasting for long, ho. That money gonna last for long. Bitch, we gonna see who gonna have the last laugh. It's either you gonna die, you either gonna be a bum, or you gonna be successful, or you gonna go to jail. And the reason I ain't that way, because the period point, I don't know which one I'm gonna be. You hear me? But I ain't dumb though. You hear me? And them people who play that role to y'all, them bitches know I ain't dumb. The people who really know me, they know I ain't dumb. You hear me? How the I came this far? You think I came this far by being dumb, you stupid bitch? You think I came this far by being dumb?
You stupid bitch.
Come on, man.
That is very
I
hard.
can't see that nigga, huh? It's a joke, huh? So, I'm a hoe. You hear me? Don't mix my rap life with my music life. I am pure.
Clearly the beef between...
But listen to what he said, bro. Listen to what he said. We're not paying attention, bro. That nigga was so mad. He said, "Don't mix my music life with my rap life." You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how you know he was mad as fuck, bro. That's how you know he was legit mad, bro. Don't mix my music life with my rap life. That don't make no sense to us. But he probably knew what the fuck he meant, though.
YoungBoy and Boulevard Quick had gotten incredibly personal, and now mothers were involved. And unfortunately for Boulevard Quick, he would soon be facing the grave consequences of dishing out such public and personal insults. In one of his last public appearances on IG Live, Boulevard Quick would ask fans why people want to kill people from TBG so bad, telling fans that it's because they're dangerous and a threat to their ops.
I really want to know the reason why kill TBG so bad, because we a fucking problem. That's why. We are a fucking problem. Don't see TBG with nothing, because we are going to be a real fucking threat to society.
On November the 26th, 2018, around 12:30 AM, police would respond to reports of a shooting after neighbors heard 5 shots. They would attend Lakeside Villas apartment complex in the 2400 block of Weldwood, where Boulevard Quick lived. And here, they would discover the body of Quick, real name Ashton Wells, who had been shot dead and left at the scene, murdered in cold blood just outside of his home, circumstances chillingly similar to the fate of Big Dump. It would seem obvious that these two tragic slayings may have some connection. TBG rapper Fredo Bang would post a tribute to Boulevard Quick, saying they accept everything that comes with the street life and calling Quick's death part of God's plan. And he would go on to continue to show love to Quick on Instagram in the years that followed. Meanwhile, NBA members would mock the murdered TBG rival.
He spent that shit on him. That's crazy. He said he called, what he fucking said. Let me run it back so y'all can hear it and all that. Late as fuck with the review over. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But, he said he called Boulevard Quick Death Squad's playing. Like, what the fuck? No, why you spinning into that narrative? You know? Why you spinning to that narrative like that?
Don't see TBG with nothing, because we are...
Heard 5 shots. They would attend Lakeside Villas apartment complex in the 2400 block of Weldwood, where Boulevard Quick lived. And here, they would discover the body of Quick, real name Ashton Wells, who had been shot dead and left at the scene, murdered in cold blood just outside of his home, circumstances chillingly similar to the fate of Big Dump. It would seem obvious that these two tragic slayings may have some connection. TBG rapper Fredo Bang would post a tribute to Boulevard Quick, saying they accept everything that comes with the street life and calling Quick's death part of God's plan, and he would go on to continue to show love to Quick on Instagram in the years that followed. Meanwhile, NBA members would mock the murdered TBG rival, particularly YoungBoy, who would appear to gloat on social media and in songs following Quick's death. The day after Quick died, YoungBoy would appear on an IG Live with an enormous smile, reciting lyrics to his upcoming song, My Mama Say, where he said that people keep saying they're going to touch him, but they keep dying. The full song would drop on YoungBoy's latest mixtape, Reeler, the following month, and that song would be wall to wall with lyrics about how YoungBoy uses money to leave his rivals dead, and claiming to catch the boy who's been dissing and shoot them in the face, and ending the track with an outro saying they leave stains in front of people's homes. Elsewhere on that mixtape, YoungBoy would continue to perpetuate his image as a shot caller, dropping bags on his enemies' heads. On the track Play With Us, YoungBoy claims to be plotting the next murder with his hitters, explaining his expectation for somebody to be killed in exchange for a check. That was followed by more lyrics claiming to be giving direct instructions to his shooters to deliver a body before claiming to deny any knowledge if the authorities try and link him to the hit. Then there's the song Valuable Pain, where YoungBoy admits his killers look up to him and that he hopes all of the bodies he's responsible for don't catch up to him. But YoungBoy would go on to drop much more pointed hints about his connection to Boulevard Quick's death later in his career. A leaked YoungBoy track called Impact surfaced in the summer of 2020 and had lyrics where YoungBoy seemed to suggest that he had had Boulevard Quick killed in direct retaliation for disrespecting his mother. He would also flip lyrics from Quick's War With Us G-Mix. In that song, Boulevard Quick rapped, "All I say is watch the news because them bodies layin'." Well, 2 years after his death, YoungBoy would refer to those lyrics on his murder anthem Dead Trolls, rapping, "That dude dead, tell me did he move, all he said was watch the news, talking Channel 9, I need to turn it to 2, it was 2 victims, ain't make it through." Now this is a deep lyric, as it was local news network Channel 9 WAFB that would report on Quick's death both on their website and TV broadcast.
And see, I ain't never heard a Boulevard Quick song. So like, nigga wouldn't even pick that up for real. Nigga would not pick that up for real.
Death of G Money in 2017 was announced on WBRZ News 2, another Louisiana news program shown on Channel 2. YoungBoy would also reference putting his ops on Channel 9 again years later in the song Channel 9 on his 2023 mixtape Richest Op, where he claimed, once again, to be the murder man, and sneak dissing Boulevard Quick, saying his ops weren't quick on their feet. And in one more crazy lyric that seems to
all
connect
this
to this
nigga do is
situation
homework.
was on the track 1.5 from his album Don't Try This at Home, where YoungBoy seems to refer to the situation where Boulevard Quick dissed his mother, rapping that his mother heard what he said about her and told YoungBoy to leave him dead, with him rapping that he caught him and a few weeks later busted his head. But it wasn't just YoungBoy disrespecting Quick. As time went on, his whole crew would continue to diss their fallen rival. NBA KD would mock both G Money and Boulevard Quick in an IG Live.
G wasn't quick enough. That was a cold.
Some people believe NBA Big B to have had something to do with this due to numerous lyrics where he claimed to have rolled up a fat op. On the track Smoke, he rapped, "Smoke in the air, there's a fat dude there. I done messed around and rolled him up, put him in my back, and drop a bag on his head, I promise I'ma do it." And on the song Op Season, he raps, "He was talking, he got ran down by his front door," and even being seen in an unreleased song snippet saying, "The fat man didn't make it to December." NBA Herm would also tease snippets on Instagram where he appeared to rap that he got the drop on an op's apartment and a fat op dead. And NBA Ben 10 would respond to friends of Quick posting his music, laughing and saying he finds it funny when he sees dead people dissing him on the timeline.
So tell me, don't be funny. When you going down your timeline and you see a dead like Polar Boy, you dead.
Clearly Boulevard Quick was deeply invested in the gang war, and he wasn't going to stop until he killed someone or got killed himself. And in the end, he would wind up being the latest victim of another senseless murder. Another young man whose life would be cut short before he could see any true success in his music. And while YoungBoy would be happily moving on with his life after losing his close friend and manager Dump to the streets, with one of his biggest enemies and the person rumoured to have had something to do with Dump's murder now out of the way too, it wouldn't be as easy as simply walking away from the violence back to his rap career. YoungBoy too would ultimately be too deep in this beef to simply move on and focus on music, because now friends of Boulevard Quick were grieving and looking for their revenge. And even while seeking refuge in other states, far away from the violence of Baton Rouge, that danger would seem to follow YoungBoy everywhere he went, raining death and destruction all around him. By 2019, YoungBoy was a long way from the dangerous streets of Baton Rouge. He was now a Billboard charting recording artist with a multi-million-dollar record deal and a whole lot of people depending on him. He was also on probation, getting a 10-year suspended sentence for his role in a double attempted murder the day after his cousin was killed. So, he would have to move smart if he wanted to take advantage of this opportunity being offered to him. After accepting his plea deal and narrowly avoiding 10 years in prison, YoungBoy vowed to leave the dangers of Baton Rouge for Los Angeles, rapping on his comeback single Untouchable that he needed to move to a city where he didn't need to stay armed to be safe, with YoungBoy even explaining in a Genius interview about that lyric that he simply didn't need to worry about people shooting at him in Los Angeles. YoungBoy would be seen mobbing in LA surrounded by his NBA brothers in the music video for his 2017 song 41, where he was clearly living the high life, pulling up to the cookout in a fresh Lamborghini drop top. A Lamborghini which he would duly total within a month, leading to him and his manager Big Dump being sued in LA. YoungBoy's life was truly chaotic wherever he went, but he'd be better off crashing a Lambo in Beverly Hills than he would be crashing out and gangbanging in Baton Rouge. So his team kept him out of the streets and in the studio where he could focus on making more hits, and those hits would continue to come thick and fast. By this point, YoungBoy had dropped an insane 14 full projects, with 8 songs charting on the Billboard Hot 100 and an insane 11 projects charting on Billboard's 200 album chart. At the start of 2019, YoungBoy was riding high off the news that he had been named as YouTube's top streaming artist in the United States for nearly 101 weeks straight, with it being claimed that he had racked up a whopping 8 million global views just on YouTube per day, giving him yet another reason to go by the nickname Top, which he apparently got from his grandfather originally. YoungBoy wasn't just having success, he was becoming one of the all-time greats of the rap genre. With his unmatchable work rate, creativity, and realness, by just age 19, he had cemented himself as one of the top rappers to ever do it, and no doubt, all of this success was having a devastating effect on the enemies that he had left behind in Baton Rouge. And YoungBoy would continue to use his music and position at the top of the rap game to taunt his rivals and drop clues about the goings-on in Baton Rouge's gang underworld. His first release...
That's like 50,000 a day. Somewhere in there, $50,000 a day. So, 8 million views a day, and that's just YouTube. That's just YouTube. And then we get into the Apple Music streams and the Spotify streams. You get like 4,000 per a million on them. It's a little, but yeah, YouTube, really, man, on some YouTube shit, like a 10-minute video, 8 million views a day. Your ass is gonna be looking like. That's like 3 million. That's a lot of fucking money. I'm taking that lot back. Yeah, that is a lot of motherfucking money. Close to 1 million, damn near.
In 2019 was the song Kick Your
No,
Door.
he was gaining 8 million views per day off all his music. 8 million streams per day off his music. I'm saying this. Shit, if he was like a regular YouTuber, but that boy be cashing in.
An aggressive home invasion anthem.
It's a lot, bro.
Kicking in doors.
The longer the video, the more you gonna make. Trust. So, like, if he just did some regular YouTuber shit, like,
and doing robberies with his gang. In April 2019, he dropped his new song Free D-Dog, a tribute to an incarcerated homie. The track was an aggressive murder anthem where YoungBoy would boast confidently about having people killed for disrespecting him or his people or speaking on him. He would seem to diss his former crew turned ops TBG, saying that certain people used to run his city, but now they can't even claim it, and ending the song saying that his ops will become victims and end up on the news. These lyrics seem to be a cloaked reference to G-Money and Boulevard Quick, two rappers from rival crew TBG who had been gunned down during their beef with NBA. And no doubt that their surviving friends, Fredo Bang and Lit Yoshi from TBG, were furious about the ongoing disrespect after losing their close friends. And unfortunately for YoungBoy, soon his beef in the streets would collide with his music career with disastrous consequences. In April 2019, Fredo Bang releases his latest project, Big Ape, an album that saw him repping his TBG flag with pride and dropping numerous songs that included cloaked threats towards YoungBoy. On the opening track, Shoot, he dropped numerous lyrics claiming to be putting money up for people to be killed, even saying outright, when it's beef, nobody's safe, even if you're rich. Throughout the project, he would drop hints towards putting prices on his ops' heads, and it was clear from Fredo Bang's lyrics that TBG wanted YoungBoy gone. And it would only be a month after that project released that the real-life violence would continue to play out on the streets. But this time, trouble wouldn't play out in the slums of Baton Rouge. In fact, the gang warfare would follow YoungBoy to the sandy beaches of Miami. In May 2019, everyone's favorite rap music festival, Rolling Loud, would be set to take place in Miami, and YoungBoy would be in town to perform at the festival in what would be a hugely lucrative and high-profile performance. YoungBoy was booked to play on the Sunday, May 12th slot where Kid Cudi was headlining, but this was a star-studded weekend, and many of the biggest names in the rap game would be in town to perform at this event. Lil Durk was due to perform on Friday, Saturday saw Lil Wayne, 21 Savage, Kodak Black, and Chief Keef touch the stage, and on Sunday, fans would see Lil Uzi, Gucci Mane, G Herbo sharing the stage with YoungBoy. However, all of these crews in town at the same time, no doubt there would be interconnected beefing going on between numerous camps. Apparently, early Friday morning, YoungBoy was attending a strip club party with Young Thug, who was due to perform Saturday, where apparently somebody popped off a few rounds at the party bus that was driving between venues, an attack which TMZ reported was targeting Young Thug.
Young Thug and his entourage became the apparent victims of a drive-by shooting that went down this morning on I-95.
The shooting happened on Interstate 95, and YoungBoy's TBG nemesis...
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I be doing my research, but you spot on with that. Think about it, because a music video, roughly 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Depending on how good your shit is, if motherfucker watch that bitch all the way through, you gonna get all that watch time. All that watch time. Motherfucker watch that shit and say you dropped a 2-minute video and they watch a minute 30 of your shit better go viral. And
This lit Yoshi would later rap on the song Cutter, which dropped a couple of months later in June 2019, that he caught him on the interstate, 7 swerved, I was bussin', seemingly a reference to the shooting on the interstate and naming fellow TBG affiliate 7 Hardaway as the driver. But unfortunately for YoungBoy, that was only the beginning of the trouble, because at this point, it seemed that his ops were in town and on the hunt to try and catch YoungBoy lacking. Lit Yoshi would actually be seen on social media that weekend, riding around Miami, listening to Fredo Bang's album and holding a rifle, seemingly looking for YoungBoy. On Sunday the 12th of May, when YoungBoy was due to perform, he would make a tweet that was geolocation tagged to Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, warning his ops that he doesn't care who they are or what they did, he will up his gun on them. Fans would warn YoungBoy that the location tag on his tweet meant his ops might be able to locate him, but it was unfortunately too late. YoungBoy's enemies would work out that he was staying at the Trump International Hotel and Beach Resort in Sunny Isles, Miami. Apparently YoungBoy was traveling with a large crew that included his girlfriend, as well as OG3 and several other unnamed affiliates and family members. As YoungBoy left the hotel with his entourage to make his way to the Rolling Loud festival performance, the group would be ambushed by a black Cadillac outside the hotel. According to reports, somebody opened fire from the Escalade towards YoungBoy's entourage, prompting return fire from members of his crew who had their own gun, with court papers later explaining that YoungBoy, his family, and entourage were traveling in a 2-car convoy that was shot up drive-by style, with the front car that carried his mother and friends being shot first, with YoungBoy and his girlfriend in the second car that was then also shot at. This would be a chaotic scene, and YoungBoy's girlfriend, Kaylin Marie Long, was hit in the shoulder and later taken to hospital. But the biggest tragedy of all would be a case of incredible bad luck, as according to court documents, in YoungBoy's car was a bag full of guns, and when shots started flying, members of YoungBoy's entourage returned fire with apparently legally registered firearms, and apparently, at some point in the chaos, YoungBoy himself was given a gun and begun shooting back too. Authorities later described them as standing at the valet section, firing rifles wildly from the hip. Inevitably, this ended up with some tragic consequences. 3 bystanders were hit in the crossfire, with it being reported that a 5-year-old child was grazed by a bullet, but even more tragic, one of these gunshots fired between these 2 warring crews claimed the life of an innocent bystander. 43-year-old Mohammed Jaradi, an honest, hard-working guy minding his own business who had just finished his shift working at the Hertz rent-a-car across the street, would catch a stray bullet and end up losing his life. This was a chaotic scene, with bullets flying and bodies dropping in the middle of the street in a major American city in broad daylight. Eventually, the police would shut down the street and gain control of the crime scene, and footage would circulate showing people being detained at the scene. Once the location had been locked down, the local news began to report on this Wild West shootout.
There was some sort of altercation that took place between two rappers who were actually set to perform at the Rolling Loud Festival this evening. Witnesses say they heard someone fire shots, at least 4 or 5 rounds. A woman was struck and raced to Aventura Hospital. Immediately following that shooting, the fight then spilled over again to the Strip Mall parking lot where we are at. This is directly across the street from the hotel. A man here, again, was shot and killed. A friend of the victims tells me off camera that he was simply an innocent bystander. He was working at the Hertz rental car company here at the Strip Mall and just parking a car when he was caught in the crossfire.
Now a new and a tragic day for one South Florida family. Their loved one becomes an innocent victim after shots are fired in the middle of the afternoon.
This type of behavior in this community is not acceptable.
A furious mayor of Sunny Isles Beach speaks out against the violence
that might be a rich part of Miami
on Sunday afternoon. It was just before 2 o'clock when police received a 911 call about gunshots fired outside Trump International Beach Resort. When they arrived, they found 19-year-old Kaylin Long of Maryland had been shot inside a black Suburban, and across the street, an innocent man lies dead in the driver's seat of a dark gray van. Long was initially taken to Aventura Hospital. The streak of stray bullets did not end there.
Across the street, there was a 5-year-old little boy that was grazed by a bullet.
Police seized several weapons from the Trump Hotel and combed multiple scenes where gun shells and bullet holes were spotted. Witnesses tell CBS 4 the people involved were rappers reportedly here for the Rolling Loud musical festival.
Despite reports of YoungBoy being detained at the scene, in the midst of the chaos, he would actually manage to break free from authorities, being seen in footage later circulated by TMZ showing him giving his wounded girlfriend medical attention before jumping in a black SUV and fleeing the scene. From here, YoungBoy made his way to the Rolling Loud Festival site, performing his set as planned immediately after surviving this assassination attempt. Breaking free from an active crime scene where you were a participant in a shootout so that you can go and perform at a festival might seem cool on paper, but when YoungBoy got off that stage, he would have to face the consequences of what had just happened. However, there would still be some lucky breaks for the NBA crew. Apparently, investigators couldn't even charge anybody in YoungBoy's entourage for shooting back, despite the fact that an innocent bystander was killed, because all of YoungBoy's crew that was still at the scene claimed self-defense, and the state of Florida has a stand your ground law in place, whereby if an individual truly believes that deadly force is necessary to protect themselves or to prevent a crime, they can potentially be immune from prosecution. The cops said that they were apparently looking to determine who had shot first, as whoever shot first could apparently be charged with first-degree murder of the innocent bystander, even if it wasn't their bullet hitting them. In order to try and ensure that YoungBoy wasn't held liable, his legal team described the scene as an assassination attempt of which he was the target.
He's an absolute victim. There's no question. Police investigated it. They talked to him. His car was shot up. He was leaving the hotel. He had his mother in the car. He had his girlfriend in the car. And somebody came up, and I don't know what the weapons were. I don't know if it was an AK or what it was, but they opened fire and lit him on fire.
YoungBoy and his label apparently even offered to cover the funeral costs for the innocent man who died, but it's unclear as to whether or not they were taken up on this offer. And YoungBoy's lawyer had said that apparently he felt terrible about this and that he had wished it had been him that was killed rather than the innocent man. It was also initially reported that apparently YoungBoy had refused to cooperate with law enforcement who wanted to know who had initiated the shootout. But YoungBoy later said that that was just miscommunication and that they hadn't really been given enough time to try and convince YoungBoy to speak to them about the incident, suggesting that he was scared to cooperate. With none of the actual antagonists who shot first in custody, however, unfortunately the consequences of this incident would still fall on YoungBoy's shoulders. And due to the fact that he was already on thin ice because of the 10-year suspended sentence he got for the attempted murder charges in 2016, a week later he would have to return to Baton Rouge for a court hearing where he was swiftly put back behind bars, with TMZ reporting that he had been jailed once again for violating his probation. This would be numerous violations, including being seen holding a gun in public and being caught in the presence of NBA Boomer and Ben when the terms of his plea forbid him from associating with them. And apparently the judge had also claimed to have seen a video on social media of YoungBoy antagonizing his ops. Now, this was supposedly a social media which the judge claimed she saw, but then YoungBoy's lawyer, and myself included, couldn't even find.
The judge said that she looked at a news feed regarding the article, and in the comments there was some sort of embedded video that she since tried to look up, and I don't think she was able to find. So she wants to see if the district attorney's office can find or whatever videos they find. But I don't know what the video is. I haven't seen it.
But based on some of the things I've read, I'm pretty sure the video they're referring to was a clip where YoungBoy actually dissed blog site The Shade Room for covering him negatively.
I'm so sick of the Shade Room trying to paint me as a bad person. What the f is wrong with you? I know whoever running this page is grown. What the f is you worried about a teenager for?
So it seems the judge kind of misinterpreted what he had done, but I don't think he was supposed to be on social media like that. Anyway, meanwhile in Miami, the police would reveal to the public that they had absolutely no idea who the shooters were, but that they were looking for 3 suspects armed with an AK-47 and other handguns. Coincidentally, with this seeming to describe that very social media clip of TBG rapper Lit Yoshi posted just before the shooting when he was riding around Miami with an AK-47 listening to Fredo Bang. So, with Lit Yoshi still at large, YoungBoy would be left in a Baton Rouge jail, reflecting on everything that had just happened. Clearly, YoungBoy himself was devastated by this sequence of events. He was trying to move on with his life and career away from Baton Rouge, but the violence and death would just continue to follow him wherever he went. Perhaps it was karma for the violence that he had claimed responsibility for.
Oh, shout out for the bitch, Fritzo. I appreciate you, gang. I appreciate you. 3 minutes ago.
In the song No Understand from YoungBoy's February 2021 project, Still Flexin', Still Steppin', YoungBoy even speaks on this shooting, saying that as the bullets flew, he didn't have enough time to grab his own gun, and saying that Baba Osama shot back, a claim that is seemingly confirmed by Girardi's family, who is suing both YoungBoy and Baba in relation to the shooting. And then in the next line, YoungBoy seems to pay respects to that innocent bystander who lost his life, as well as the child who was grazed in the shootout, saying that he feels the pain of the innocent, and that when he did his time in jail following the incident, he felt nothing, as he felt that the pain that he went through was suffering that he deserved on behalf of the man who lost his life and the child who was grazed, who shouldn't have been dragged into his conflicts. Following the shooting at the Trump Hotel in Miami, YoungBoy would remain in jail for 90 days before being released, but he would be seen in August 2019 looking like he'd put on some muscle, bailing out of jail and being picked up once again in a fresh Maybach. YoungBoy would be seen in
that's
selfies
when he got
with
out
his mother,
with the mustache.
and he would later go on live with family in his garage upon getting home.
Say something to the people. Hello. Hello. Huh? I ain't never had 112 damn people in my life. I never go live. I'm so serious. But they want to see it. They gonna be like, oh, Miss Monique, look at it. What they saying, y'all? Kentrell, you still fine. I love you. He is still fine, baby. That's right, yeah. He look like a Mexican cartel. We looking, hey, but we don't work well, Chapo, though.
The judge would order YoungBoy to remain on house arrest for 12 months following his release, with the court apparently deciding not to completely revoke his probation, giving him the opportunity to finish out his remaining year of probation without further punishment, in a deal that would not allow him to perform for the entire year either. So no more trips to Miami or California, and no more concerts. So YoungBoy, for the first time in his career, would be confined to his home, unable to play shows, shoot music videos, or slide on ops. He would remain in his home and focus on the one thing that made him successful: recording and releasing music. Already a prolific releaser of music, now with no distractions, as ordered by the court, YoungBoy would kick his creative spirit into overdrive, not only recording an insane amount of music, but arguably delivering the best bodies of work of his entire career, and going on a once-in-a-lifetime run of success, the likes of which the music industry had never seen. After getting out of jail, YoungBoy picked up his career right where he left off, on September 1st, 2018, dropping a new track called Slime Mentality. This was yet another aggressive murder anthem where YoungBoy pledges allegiance to his gang 4K Trey and letting everybody know that him and his whole family, including his mother, father, sister, and brother, all see themselves as slime members too. Following that up with audacious lyrics about dropping more bags to have right.
And Michi still in the South. We kicking the front door, big bro geeking off the South. He buddy you out on no bitch. I'm making these my own fucking lyrics, bro. What the fuck?
Rivals killed, and even promising to die in the hunt for revenge for Dump's death. And all of this, apparently, while ducking the watchful eye of his parole officer. And the chorus of the song lays bare the realities of life in YoungBoy's circle.
Bro, I would not
made
look
cold
like that
and
with a
ruthless
mustache.
from growing
Relax.
up in such a harsh environment, forcing him to be
If I do
constantly
grow a
armed
mustache,
and
I'm
ready to
cutting my
kill
beard.
anyone
For
who might
sure.
want to come and kill him from his city or even out of town. All while confidently boasting that the whole city knows that he and his shooters will kill before they let anyone take them down. Upon his release, YoungBoy was being filmed from the moment he walked out of the prison gates, with that footage serving as the introductory sequence for his next song and music video, the track Self-Control. The song came with lyrics where YoungBoy reflected on the pain he felt after Boozilla was killed and wanting to avenge Dump's death. On the hook, YoungBoy sings a unique melody all about how his chronic smoking habit is a tactic to stop himself from being so dangerous. and describing his entourage as equally dangerous, ready to shoot at the slightest provocation. 20 days after that, he would drop a follow-up song, the iconic House Arrest Tings. That track completely blew up on release, racking up millions of views within days, and to this day, still sitting around 100 million views on YouTube. He would also appear as a feature on the track Richer Than Everybody, with industry heavy hitters Gucci Mane and DaBaby. YoungBoy was dropping songs all in anticipation of his next full-length project, which did not disappoint. On October the 11th, 2019, YoungBoy dropped his latest mixtape, AI YoungBoy 2. This, in my opinion, is YoungBoy's best project, and perhaps one of the greatest albums in modern rap history. AI YoungBoy 2 is wall-to-wall with some of YoungBoy's best songs, and throughout the project he showcases an incredible range as a melodic rapper and singer. The project just oozes creativity, and the songs are really like nothing else out there. It's unmistakably unique, with YoungBoy using his trademark style to sing, rap, and whine perfect melodies, all painting a picture of his wild ride from the gutter to the very top of the rap industry. So I actually did an entire breakdown of all of the most important lyrics in AI YoungBoy 2, but it made the video way too long. So if you want to see that, it's in the uncut version that's on Patreon, or it's going to be in the extended version of this chapter going up on my third channel, Trap Law Clips, soon. Ultimately, YoungBoy, stuck on house arrest, poured his heart into his music, and it resulted in one of the most incredible bodies of work in rap history. AI YoungBoy 2 scored a roaring debut, selling an impressive 110,000 units in its first week, and earning YoungBoy his first #1 Billboard 200 chart hit. But that wouldn't be YoungBoy's only chart milestone that week, as the week before AI YoungBoy released, YoungBoy would end up collaborating with Chicago pop rap star Juice WRLD on the song Bandit. The pairing of Juice WRLD and YoungBoy made for an incredible duo, with Juice's vocals and love song ideas elevating the track conceptually, contrasting with YoungBoy's verse, a classic aggressive murder rap, where he raps openly about having problems and getting rid of people for $20,000, once again painting a picture of his lifestyle, surrounded by killers and sliding on their ops with guns. This track no doubt introduced YoungBoy and Juice WRLD to big audiences that they might not have previously accessed. That track was released on October the 4th, 2019, and this would sadly be the last single released by Juice WRLD before his unfortunate death from an overdose on December the 8th, 2019. Bandit would peak at number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming YoungBoy's highest charting song of his career to date, and it also became an international hit, charting in 20 countries. And by the end of 2019, YoungBoy had cemented himself as one of the greats in the rap game. He wasn't just taking over the rap game, but he was influencing its direction going forward, and in the coming years, YoungBoy's influence would be undeniable. However, time and time again, the thing holding him back would be legal issues. But luckily, soon YoungBoy would catch a major win, shaking free of a case that had been dogging him for years, and paving the way for him to follow up AI YoungBoy 2, eventually going on one of the most impressive runs that the rap game had ever seen.
Alright, bro. I'm gonna go ahead and get about this thing. I got work to do. I gotta edit and shit. But I'm gonna catch y'all boys back here tomorrow with the same documentary. But we're gonna do some other reactions before we get into the documentary. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all follow me on Discord, bro. We have reached our peak number of fucking subs, 157, bro. I'm ecstatic, bro. I don't know. A dream of mine has always been on this Twitch shit, so you know what I'm saying? We working towards that shit though. But yeah, I'll catch y'all boys, man. Make sure y'all follow me on the ground, man. Or Twitter, one of the two.
Be undeniable. However, time and time again, the thing holding him back would be legal issues. But luckily, soon YoungBoy would catch a major win, shaking free of a case that had been dogging him for years, and paving the way for him to follow up AI YoungBoy 2, eventually going on one of the most impressive runs that the rap game had ever seen. Fresh off the success of AI YoungBoy 2, YoungBoy wasn't taking his foot off the gas. He would continue releasing new music and songs like Bring 'Em Out, yet another murder anthem, wall-to-wall with lyrics about contract killings and dropping bags on ops and even their mothers. And YoungBoy himself would still be fighting for his own freedom in the courts, after being sentenced to a year of probation following his involvement in the broad daylight shootout outside the Trump Hotel back when he was in Miami for the Rolling Loud Festival. But it wasn't that shooting that got him.
If I'm not mistaken, he was only retaliating because of things that came to him. I don't know. I ain't picking no side or nothing. It's just like, damn if you do, damn if you don't.
Him in trouble. It was the fact
I do know he was on special shit like some type of shit with the law enforcement, but still though, nigga.
He was involved.
Cause like, all right, he can't do this, but somebody can come up and take his, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I ain't picking no sides. It's just, you know, shit. Damn if you do, damn if you don't type shit.
In it, whilst on a 10-year
niggas know when to take their risks.
For the 2016 double attempted murder charge he caught trying to avenge his murdered cousin Boozilla. On December the 13th, 2019, YoungBoy would be back in court where he would score a rare legal victory regarding that case, when the judge ultimately granted a request to terminate his probation early, since apparently he had completed all of his conditions to date.
NBA YoungBoy was in court today. He's no longer on probation and says he plans to leave Louisiana. A judge today ended his probation during a hearing. Lawyers for the rapper, whose real name is Kentrell Gaulden, had argued that he followed all of the court's conditions. Gaulden was arrested back in May after a deadly shootout in Florida. His defense had argued that he was actually the target of the shooting, but he was already on probation in connection to a 2016 shooting.
What you say, freely top, nigga? Grandma, baby. Leave that, nigga. What's up, Jay Harlow? I got double R. I got big back. I got me. I just want to do it.
Congratulations, bro.
Yeah. Oh,
how do you feel right now?
Feel good, bro. I ain't lying.
This was a huge win for YoungBoy, and arguably the judge was doing him a huge personal favour. After all, it was plainly clear to anybody who knew the situation that YoungBoy's enemies in Baton Rouge wanted him dead, and it would turn out that the conditions of his probation were actually creating potential danger for him. Apparently, a court-approved music video had actually put YoungBoy's property lease in question, and with limited rental properties available in Baton Rouge where he could genuinely remain safe and anonymous, moving out of the city would be his best option. However, prior restrictions relating to his probations would force him to keep coming back to Baton Rouge, where he would indeed be a huge target for his ops. Atlantic Records would even write a letter to the judge claiming that his personal and financial safety were at risk in Baton Rouge, and the judge actually agreed. So, after being granted his freedom, YoungBoy called Judge Jackson a blessing, saying that she saved him and saying that she had given him opportunity after opportunity up until this point. And honestly, it seemed like this judge truly had YoungBoy's back, apparently previously denying numerous attempts by the district attorney to revoke his probation and send him straight back to jail. She ultimately told YoungBoy that she felt that it was the people around him that didn't have his best interests at heart and that they were bringing him down. And while the judge is clearly trying to give YoungBoy helpful advice from her—
And you know what though? That'd be like, cause you wouldn't, okay. Sometimes you be noticing, but you see the good or what was, or just like you just see the good. So like a lot of times you be blind to that fact. But until you kind of distance yourself and see what the fuck going on with that motherfucker, that, you know what I'm saying? When that motherfucker around versus when shit ain't, you know, and it's like, oh. Right. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know.
Her perspective, realistically, it was the same people bringing
Lack
trouble
of better
into YoungBoy's
words.
life that were
You
also
see-
putting
you
their
see
lives
your
on the
shit.
line to protect it. I would
Doing good
personally
without
argue
a
it wasn't YoungBoy's
motherfucking
friends bringing him down,
type
but his
shit.
enemies in the rival crew TBG that kept trying to kill him that were truly bringing him down. And right or wrong, it was the NBA members that were willing to kill, die, or serve life in prison, all in the pursuit of protecting their provider YoungBoy. And oh boy was he providing. Because by 2020, YoungBoy had now released—
He made it sound like this nigga's they daddy. He's fucked up in the game. He made it sound like these niggas was their provider top. Like, what? That's crazy. Y'all don't think that's... Okay, you know, I'm the only one that's fucked up about the whole shit. Okay.
Released 15 full-length projects, and off the back of the success of AI YoungBoy 2, he was now clocking in a total record of 17 songs charting on the Billboard Hot 100 and 13 projects charting on Billboard's 200 album chart. In February 2020, the Wall Street Journal drops an article saying that YoungBoy is the biggest music star you've probably never heard of, pointing to the fact that despite not being a household name globally, he had continued to dominate on YouTube as the top artist, and soon YoungBoy would be ready to follow up his prior success with another full-length project. On February the 21st, 2020, YoungBoy released his first project of the year, Still Flexin', Still Steppin'. This project had the hit single and another of my personal favourite YoungBoy tracks, Lil Top, which would end up peaking at number 28 on Billboard's Hot 100 Songs chart. with this being the highest charting solo hit of his career to date. But the overall content of this project was very much still gangbanging, which certainly fit in with the title, Still Flexin', Still Steppin'. The project sees YoungBoy describing his life very much still adjacent to the streets, with lyrics all about taking $50K cash out of the bank to fund more hits in the streets. But he would also open up about still feeling depression on the project, along with numerous tributes to his fallen manager Dump, as well as promises to avenge him, and revealing omissions that he is still at war over the murder of his cousin Boozilla. However, on this project, in one of the first instances of caution, on the track Long Road, YoungBoy actually does rap that he didn't kill anyone, with it being
I ain't gonna lie, when you look at the lyrics and shit like this, it's like a different angle than just listening to the music, because some of these lyrics I done rapped 1,001 times. Ain't paid not one attention to, you know what I'm saying?
Clear if this is him saying that there's no evidence that he's killed anyone, or if for the first time he's actually admitting that while he's living in close proximity to murder and gang violence, he's not actually responsible for any of the murders that he has been associated with over the course of his career. Considering how laced this project is with threats to his ops, it does really make you wonder whether YoungBoy truly is still this gangster that he's portraying in his music, or whether he really is just an artist from the streets selling the gangster image to his audience because he knows that's what sells. In the track Call Me Late, YoungBoy claims to still be ready to kill and go to trial, even claiming that his desire to kill every single op is still his main focus in life. Claims which at this point in his career are kinda hard to take seriously. Clearly YoungBoy is still affected by the lifestyle, rapping elsewhere that he is often seen shaking in his sleep and waking up from nightmares, reaching for the nearest gun. With him going on to say that he doesn't actually want to hurt anybody and that he just wants to be left alone, by his ops, by the police, and by the devil. On the final track of the project, titled No Understand, YoungBoy reflects on his life of crime, saying that he doesn't feel shame for all of the people that died in his beefs, but admitting that he still cries at night over it, as well as reflecting on feeling guilt for the innocent people who were hurt or died during that shootout at the Trump Hotel, and reflecting on whether or not he's going to have to be the person in his community who breaks the cycle of gang violence, going on to acknowledge that his young shooters who have lost their parents don't know what's important in life yet and are simply programmed to kill. Still Flexin', Still Steppin' was the latest chapter in YoungBoy's story, and he continued to have his fans captivated. This project earned him an impressive #2 debut on the Billboard albums charts, narrowly losing out on the top spot to K-pop sensations BTS, but clearly not content with the number.
That's a juggernaut. But I'm just listening to these lyrics. You know, you could just say that whatever's going on in the nigga real life almost be a reflection of the lyrics. The way he's painting this picture. You know what I'm saying? That leads me to this question. Let's just say these rappers, you know, to kind of broaden up the spectrum. Do these rappers really? Well, I guess so. You know what? Because we just sitting here just looking at this shit. Because when I first heard a nigga say, I use this rap shit as therapy. Boy, if you don't shut your stupid ass up, that's how I peeped it. But whole time, he really might have been using that shit as therapy. Like, he ain't got nobody else to talk to. You know, when I first heard the shit, it was like 2015, 2016. And I can't remember the exact rapper that said it. But that's around the time I first heard the shit. And I always thought it was just bullshit. But as the picture Trap Lord Ross is painting, you know,
Two slot, YoungBoy would do what he does best and continue dropping music throughout 2020. Only 2 months later, on April the 24th, YoungBoy released yet another full-length project titled 38 Baby 2. This project would land the top slot on Billboard, making it his second #1 charting album. Unsurprisingly, 38 Baby 2 is riddled with violent lyrics, threats, and street-related boasts from start to finish. 2020 was shaping up to be the golden age of the gangster rapper, with the rising popularity of Chicago drill rappers like King Von and Lil Durk, as well as the rising popularity of the New York drill scene, which reached a crescendo in 2020 when breakout star Pop Smoke unfortunately lost his life in a California home invasion right at the height of his popularity. It seemed at this point that every city in America had a rapper that was going viral for their music, breaking down the local gang politics. And at this point, it was undeniable that YoungBoy was the undisputed king of violent murder raps, and he wouldn't take his foot off the gas all of 2020. Continuing to make music that appeared to hint at his violent past. And his next project would deliver exactly what these rap fans were asking for. and he would continue to reap the benefits.
Bruh,
On September the 11th, 2020, YoungBoy's latest release, Top, would come out, with this technically being his second studio album, despite the fact that he had dropped full-length, album-quality mixtapes non-stop ever since signing his label deal with Atlantic. With his album Top, YoungBoy had once again landed the Billboard #1 position, with this being his third #1 album in the span of just a year. And at a stretch, if you want to include Still Flexin', that's 4 top 2 albums in less than 12 months. That's one of the most impressive runs of success in rap history, very nearly challenging Future, who famously dropped 5 #1 charting albums in the span of 2 years. YoungBoy would end 2020 on top once again, holding down his spot as the most streamed artist in the US on YouTube, ahead of Lil Baby, Drake, and Bad Bunny, with a colossal 2.66 billion streams for the year. At the young age of 20, YoungBoy had already cemented himself as one of the most beloved rappers in the industry. With a catalogue the size of many veteran rappers and Billboard records brewing, it would be hard to imagine where things would go next. Unfortunately, however, despite all of his mainstream success, these Billboard charting songs were still laced with violent content that continued to prod and threaten his rap rivals back in Baton Rouge. And even from the safety of his home, YoungBoy's words would travel, and back in Baton Rouge, the violence would continue to play out, where fortunately for YoungBoy, eventually the authorities would manage to lock up one of his most dangerous rivals.
You know what? This is gonna be the goddamn stopping point for the part 1. We halfway through it. But look though, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna drop this part 1. I'm gonna need 5,000 likes on this one for sure. For part 2, like that's gonna be my indicator to them folks wanna see that. Right? But let me know you made it to the end. Put Johnson's Baby Wolf. Don't ask no fucking questions on why it's so close. Mind your business. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and mind that. But put that in the comment section. You feel me? Let me know you made it to the end. Other than that, that's your boy Snore. I'm gone, man.